you see that? That little bit on the ground? That's snow.
Oh.
And you know what? That means playoff football's around the corner, boys. Yeah, one more game. Maybe the Bombers and the Stamps have locked a playoff spot up. But one more Friday night football. Let's go.
Looking deep to Acuna Vandu and a touchdown for the Stampeders. The pass to Reggie Bagleton into the end zone, touchdown. Stevens into the end zone. Calgary firmly in control.
Back-to-back wins for Jake Mayer. A balanced attack, running the rock, getting it out. 2 wins, and what they signed Jake for is to win in the playoffs. This is a rehearsal.
Oklahoma State Cowboy Drew Brown, all he does is throw touchdowns and completions. Last week, 7-7, 2 touchdowns to go along with his 7th on the season.
Calgary's leading rusher, Dedrick Mills, along with their other running backs, I believe are really going to have to be the driving force if this team wants to have some success in the playoffs. We saw what this running game did last week. Will it continue today?
Not since the great Stamp John Cornish has a Canadian led in rushing yards, rushing TDs, and carries. That's how Brady Oliveira's regular season will end. Will November end with another ring and maybe an MOP? You got to be greedy in November if you want the glory. I feel greedy in the last Friday night of the season because for the first time I get to sit alongside Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, and Milt Stiegel. Boys, it's so good to see you.
Good luck with that, Matthew.
We'll see how the night goes. Before we get to the boys, though, first I want to say a very good evening in McMahon Stadium to a bundled-up Britt Dort. Now, Britt, when you take a look at this game, logic would dictate that with the Stamps and the Bombers both securing a playoff spot, that this game really doesn't matter. So what's the vibe in Calgary tonight? Does it matter for these teams?
Oh, it definitely does. And even though there's a laundry list of changes in these lineups, both these teams still want the win. I'm not going to go through all the changes because I would be here all night, but I will tell you with the Bombers, most noticeably, Zach Collaros obviously listed as a backup tonight, meaning Drew Brown's going to be in. The vibe I got from that team this week is that that was actually a very easy decision, and everybody seemed to be okay with it. But the biggest changes for the Bombers tonight, mainly on their defense, particularly their front 7, not going to be dressing tonight. You're not going to see guys like, Willie Jefferson, Adam Bighill, to name a few, but you will see Demario Houston make a return. We know he was out dealing with that knee injury. He ran past me on the way out here for warm-ups, and he was ecstatic to be back on the field. On offense, you're not going to see Nick Dembski. I also want to talk about the fact that Dalton Schoen also not playing again this week. We tried to ask Mike O'Shea about that. He was a little coy with us, just kind of saying, yeah, he's making progress, and the timing should work out all right. So take that one with a grain of salt. But it does give a guy like Ravi Alston a shot to not only play in his first CFL game, but to start in his first CFL game. So keep your eyes on that receiver tonight. On Calgary's side of the ball, when we talked to Dave Dickinson about their lineup changes tonight, he did tell us, well, I won't tell you for sure who's going to be all out. This was a few days ago, but I wish I didn't have to sit the guys that I'm going to sit. Kind of alluding to the fact that not everybody's 100% healthy, so he needs them to be healthy for next week's game in the playoffs. So you're not going to see a guy like Cameron Judge tonight on defense, but Micah Awe is out there. He's listed as a backup. On offense, no Kadeem Carey. As well, you're not going to see a guy like Reggie Bagleton, but as you guys mentioned, Dedrick Mills, the running back, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the run game tonight. And as you pointed out, Matthew, I am dressed like a purple marshmallow tonight. It's a brisk one, but both these teams talked about the fact that, hey, the road to the Grey Cup goes through Winnipeg, and you don't know what the weather's going to be like there. So they're using this game as a little bit of preparation.
Britt, I can tell you, I think I know what it's going to be like in Winnipeg in November, and it's going to be cold. I know what you feel when you're outside, but when you're talking about the Stamps against the best in the West, if they get a win against the Bombers tonight, I don't really know if it changes the perspective in the regular season against them. They don't have any wins against the Bombers. But against BC, they were 0-2 up until last week. That 41-16 win. The question is, was that a fluke, or was that the real Calgary Stampeders?
Looking forward to another year of the CFL on TSN. It's the Stampeders up against the BC Lions. Looking into the end zone. Touchdown. Dominic Rhymes takes off. Touchdown, BC. The third touchdown drive for BC in this season opening night. How about an opening act from Vernon Adams Jr.?
It's a spectacular Saturday afternoon in Vancouver as the Lions host the Stampeders. Is blocked. Loose ball laying there. Lions pick it up and take over inside the 15. Finds some space in the end zone. Touchdown. First of the year for Lucky Whitehead. Calgary, it's interesting. This one's going to sting a little bit.
Can I see the top of the mountain? Sure, but it's a little cloudy up there.
Plenty at stake for both teams. Dave Dickinson says we're in desperation mode. Bagleton makes the catch.
Wow.
At the goal line, Bagleton. Sensational play. Over the middle, Cam Judge with the interception.
Fantastic play by Cameron Judge.
Stampeders have to feel good about themselves.
They've been playing really good football. I hope we do see them.
The Stamps needed that win, and they got that win. And maybe it's a cloudy up there, the top of the mountain, but at least they know they have to go through BC. So Davis Sanchez, who has the edge in the West Semi?
Oh, BC has the edge. They have home field advantage. They've earned that, and they'll get to play in the confines of their own home. I don't know how much, we showed the records previously. I don't know how much last week's game between these two that Calgary finally won, I don't know how much that matters. I don't think it matters a heck of a lot, to be honest. What matters is kind of how you're playing now as a team towards the end of the season. What I've seen from Calgary is the ability to run the ball. Last week, that was huge for them because if BC is going to air it out, BC is going to be aggressive with their receivers in the dome. If Calgary wants to win that game, I think they've shown that Jake Mayer, the last two games, he threw for 123, 184. They're running the ball. That's the way they will beat BC, is to be effective. Run the ball against a smaller BC defensive line as well.
I think that was a big lesson learned for Jake Mayer last week in that win is you don't have to be the guy. Just, you've got a good team around you. When they're playing Calgary Stampeders football, you don't have to press the issue. Just don't turn the football over. They did a good job of taking it away, capitalizing on that. And it's been a breath of fresh air watching Dave Dickinson navigate through this season. It's been a tough season for him. His football team's been up and down. They've been riddled with injury, and the quarterback play has been very inconsistent. And he has not minced words openly to the public, on TV, in his interviews. Dave has been very honest in his approach, and he's called on his football team. He's whipping them down the road, and right now, Milt, he's whipping them into the playoffs, and I like the mindset of this football team. Doesn't mean anything what happened last week. I think for the Calgary Stampeders, it does. Yep. And I think it means a lot for them because they're still trying to find their game, whereas BC knows what they can do. Calgary's still trying to figure that out, and Dave is making them.
Last week meant something, in my opinion, for them. It wasn't that they beat BC, it's that they won the game. This team just needs to continue with some momentum. They've won 2 games in a row. This game is important, too, because they need that confidence going into the playoffs. Jake Mayer needs to play better. As a team, they'll have the understanding that we can win some games. Just 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying this team is not going to make the playoffs. They don't have a chance. But now they're in that position right now, so they want that momentum going into the playoffs. So last week was important. This week is important. Definitely next week is the most important game, but I like the direction they're going in.
You're talking about next week. It's a shorter week this year because the brand new playoff schedule is playoff football on Saturdays, everybody. 6 Eastern next Saturday. Calgary is in BC again. But before that, myself, Rod Smith, and Dwayne Ford will be in Montreal when the Hamilton Tiger Cats, well, after they play this week, it'll be take 2 against the Montreal Alouettes. Coverage begins at 2 Eastern. One guy who is going to be watching next week is Brady Oliveira, but a little work still tonight. 20 yards away from 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Could be a big night for Brady again.
What a chance for him to pound it. Little Brady ball here, right?
Look at this. Brady Oliveira, a big one. Broke a few tackles, and they finally track him down. But Brady Oliveira down to the 5. End zone touchdown, Winnipeg. And Oliveira finishes the job.
Was there any doubt? I want to help this team win football games by any means necessary. 20 touches or 10 touches. And I'm going to battle the entire game for them each and every time.
Maybe Kenny Lawler hasn't played as many games as other Bomber receiving teammates, but Kenny Lawler has 6 touchdown receptions this season and 844 yards with November closing in. Don't sleep on him for a big play. Well, now here's your FanDuel 5. The most popular anytime touchdown scores on FanDuel. Johnny Augustine leads the way at 130. He's looking for his first touchdown of the season. 4 players have shorter odds. 2 Stampeders round out the top 5, and Clayton Logan and Tommy Stevens, who were both with major impacts against BC last week. Stevens had 2 touchdowns, while Logan had 1 in the 41-16.
You left out the main one. Dakota Prukop is hitting today.
That's your department.
You got it too? Yeah. Dakota Prukop will hit today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when it comes,
that's what he does.
I'm going to go ahead and plead ignorance and leave it to the experts here, because yes, I did pick an anytime touchdown this week. That's usually Kate's department, so I picked Dedrick Mills. But who did you guys pick, Matty?
Oh, I got Dakota Prukop.
Yeah.
It's like I heard Davis say that. I'm going like, I'm in, because that's a lock.
Davis doesn't know anything.
Come on, man.
Prukop is going to be the short yardage quarterback for the whole game, most likely.
Yes.
And then he's going to play, whether he plays a quarter or a half, a quarterback as well.
So he does. When have an opportunity.
When the text was sent out, that's not what you said, Davis. You said somebody else. He said Prukop.
He said somebody else.
You said somebody. He didn't say Prukop.
I did some more research.
You didn't lock it in.
Don't text me at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's for answers then on my day off.
I'm just saying. I'm going with Johnny Augustine. I'm going to say that because I think Brady, once he gets his numbers, they're taking him out. And this offensive line, for the most part, for the Blue Bombers, they're still intact. The starters, for the most part, will be there. So Johnny Augustine will be the beneficiary of that offensive line.
He better get it from about 10 yards out.
He got some decent speed. He can get it together. Yeah.
I'm just saying up close. That's Dakota Prukop time.
No, I give it to Johnny. I talked to him.
Yeah. And I looked at Dedrick Mills because the fact is, when Kadeem Carey was out for earlier this season, who was the guy who was trying to consistently carry for them?
See, Davis? Look, Davis, that's who you said.
Tommy Stevens.
Tommy Stevens.
That's Tommy Stevens.
That's a long time. Autocorrect on my phone.
All I know is
Prukop and Stevens.
Prukop to Stevens. Autocorrect.
All I know, for the first and only time, my name is going to be at the top of a FanDuel board right there.
Shoots.
So that's all I care about at this moment.
I thought you changed your pick, man.
Right now, he's the front runner for the MOP.
It also may represent a battle for the MOP honors.
Wolotarski in the end zone. Defender falls. Touchdown. Polaris strikes again. Wants to throw again. Finds some space in the end zone. Touchdown. And a 300-yard gain for Vernon Adams.
Look at the yard strike. Over the top to Monte Coxie. Chad Kelly sends BMO into a frenzy.
Back to Brady Oliveira. Look at him go. Brady Oliveira does it again all the way up to midfield. Running all over the Riders all day.
Explosive. That's what the CFL's all about.
Are we having any fun yet? It's my question.
Shout out to all the unanimous picks for the MOP across all the teams in the CFL. Vernon Adams Jr. leading the way in passing. The consistency of Reggie Begelton, what he's meant to the Stamps. I mean, we talk about Trey Ford almost week in and week out and what he and his potential can do. Maybe for the Elks, not this season. Tim White and those 3 quarterbacks. Austin Mack and his emergence. And Chad Kelly, 15-2 at the Argos. But the big debate here is Brady Oliveira.
Hang on, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Sorry about that.
Did we start the show? Did I miss my anytime touchdown pick?
Sorry.
It's true,
my friend. Here
I told you I could do both. I could run from the rafters.
I'll head to the sidelines. I'll get my jacket.
Oh, shooter.
Cincinnati, this was your chance.
Shooter. Thank you.
Cincinnati, don't go.
I'm exhausted. What are we talking? This is why I've been doing the marathon, so I can do both Raptors and
random hills, too.
CFL. I'm exhausted. That was like a mile run from the Raptor. Who is your MOP?
She even knows more.
You know what? Casey, you walking right into a question,
like
KB?
Yeah, Brady O. Are we talking Brady O? What are we doing
You know
here?
what? The question is outstanding player, right?
Yes.
Then the outstanding player is Brady O.
Okay, Brady O. Who do you got, Matty?
Yeah.
In the West, that is.
Yeah. I thought. And it's a shame that you can't have more than one player coming from a team, right? Because I think this is a perfect instance. I like the pick of Brady Oliveira. He does it all. He does all three facets of playing running back. He can pound it, as we well know, and he can catch it out of the backfield, and which has been exceptional this year. 38 receptions for almost 500 yards, another 4 TDs, 3+ catches of 30 yards or more to go along with his 39 times to 10 carries or more. 10 yards or more. Just a phenomenal back that does it all, and a solid pick out of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers organization.
Well,
guys, sorry about the Raptors. There's breaking news on the Raptors. I'm going to run, and then I'm going to run back. You know, Matthew, you're doing an amazing job.
Those are my MOPs right there, Matthew and Kate. Those are the MOPs right there. That's it right there.
Big shout out to Kate Burness for allowing me to come into this chair, her chair all season.
That's funny.
On All-Star on this network. Obviously, she's doing the Raptors tonight. I'm really happy I get to be with these guys, but it's always good.
Your hair looks better than Kate's, too.
That's what it's like. Go in there for short yardage and then get out of there, right?
Well, for me, the MOP of the West is definitely Brady Oliveira. I know there was some dispute about how maybe Zach should have been that guy, but it's not even a debate for me. It's Brady Oliveira.
Is there a difference between most valuable player and most outstanding in your guys' opinion?
We have this debate every year. Every year we talk about this.
It's all the same to me. MOP, MVP, we can change it.
I think there is.
There's a difference?
I think there is. You know, a most outstanding player brings it out of everybody, you know, to me. And it makes everybody around you better. I think MVP is more as an individual.
Yeah. There's no difference to me.
To me, the most valuable is going to be the quarterback. I would take Chad. I would have taken Zach. Most outstanding.
You would have taken Zach over Brady
as the most valuable player. Because
he touches the ball every time.
He's the most valuable player on that team.
Leader.
The most outstanding player on that team is Brady Oliveira.
Brady's MOP and MVP.
Come involved.
He's all of it for that team this past year. He's been everything for that team.
Let's see what they do in the West without their quarterback. But
I don't think they care over there. That's that football team's mentality. They just want to win football games. They want go back and do it right.
And you know who they've been winning with all season? Brady Oliveira. We've been talking a lot about him.
Go watch that second start. Go watch that Drew Brown second start. See if you guys talking that same smack.
2 yards away from 1,500. You know, just to put in context, Brady Oliveira's had an incredible season. Just a shout out to John Cornish. When you look at how great Brady Oliveira's season is, 2013 and those 1,800 yards. But here's the man we're all talking about, Brady Oliveira, now with Britt Dort.
Brady, we know this game doesn't matter when it comes to the standings here tonight, but what can we expect from this Bombers team here?
Yeah, you know, it's another opportunity to go out there and honor our teammates. We've been preaching that all week. You'll see some new guys in the lineup, and it's another opportunity. So I'm excited for these young guys, and we want to go out there and win, bring some momentum into the postseason.
I know you're a big team guy, but I'm going to make you brag about yourself right now. Most outstanding player for your team this year. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, you know, I was shocked. I was a loss of words, but, you know, none of that's possible without my teammates. You know, there's so many guys deserving of that nod, but, you know, man, my teammates and my offensive line this year allowed me to get those yards. So, you know, credit to my teammates. Let's go out there and honor one another and go get this win.
You're always so humble. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know the great thing about this panel? 2 Matts, 2 December babies.
Yes, right.
Let it snow, let it snow. Love this time of year.
I'm taking indoor in BC, baby. Forget the snow.
Still a full weekend, full season. Well, we're almost done the season. Full weekend. Bo Levi Mitchell will start for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Orlando Steinauer says he still needs time to gel with his offense. 4 o'clock Eastern time. The first round, not as big as the next weekend when it will be the East Final. You know who won't be playing, though? Chad Kelly. We're going to see a lot of Cameron Dukes in Ottawa. Maybe that's significant for the Argos because they need to know what they have more in their backup. The Argos and the Red Blacks, Saturday at 7. When you think of the 2023 season, you got to think of the great comebacks, the great one-handed grabs, the great returns. So I'm going to steal a line from our good friend Dustin Nielsen on this one. When you're watching the top 10 plays of 2023, you have to ask yourself, are you kidding me?
Second and long. This time on the draw to Brown. He's got a burst. Stayed on his feet, landed it too before it was eventually taken down. It's not going to be enough for a first down, but you can throw it on a highlight reel somewhere.
Manually with the officials as Vernon gets the snap away. Looks for Hatcher over the top. Intercepted. A huge flip of the field.
Diving grab by Dexter Lawson Jr.
Now the Argos are looking at him. Working quickly here. Kelly escapes. Stays on his feet. Looks far side. Donovan. Walking it all the way in under. Touchdown Toronto. And the Argos go on top late in the first half. What a play from Kelly.
It looked like he was sacked. Strong upper body really doesn't even phase him almost, and Unger are in behind.
Four-man rush. Fine. Escapes it. Now he's going to heave one down the field for Tevin Jones. Are you kidding me?
The mistake made by Calgary is they try to intercept it rather than just knock the ball down. Tevin Jones says, thank you very much, makes a man miss, and away he goes.
Stands in strong, throws it over the middle. It was an intercepted. A flag is down in the offensive backfield.
Williams goes over top. That allows Cranston to take that extra step forward. Making the play on the football.
Going down with pressure coming right up the middle. Leads one up there down the field. Are you kidding me? That was incredible. He holds it in for a touchdown. Oh my goodness. Samuel Emelis. It's tough to get much better than that.
Ford running out of time again. He's on the run. Nowhere to go. But he still gets rid of it into the end zone. Touchdown.
It's showtime.
Brilliant play by Cray Ford to buy himself some time.
The great escape artist. Almost runs into the official over here. I'll just turn and go this way.
Stunning play. Brilliantly done by Cray Ford.
He's going to look to the end zone. One-on-one. Oh, my goodness. Get out of here, Kenny Lawler. A one-handed special from 89.
We shouldn't be surprised. Should not be surprised.
Gets a nice roll, too, chasing Grant inside the 20. He breaks out to the left. They keep coming. He is breaking free. Janarian Grant still on his feet. Still in bounds inside the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Outstanding effort from Janarian Grant. And it was, in a lot of ways, I mean, he got a couple of blocks, but in a lot of ways, it was on his own.
Quick drop. This time looks to his right. Loads it up. This one throws sharp. Hold in. DeMonte Coxie. Touchdown Argos, but my, oh my, what a catch.
Diving, one hand reaching in behind the defender, Ento.
Coxie's not letting go of that thing, Dwayne.
Well, he worked hard to get it.
It's not often that a 90-yard reverse field return for a touchdown is beaten out. Janarian Grant was number 2, but that DeMonte Coxie catch against Montreal, man, I still watch it. Are you kidding me? Calgary and Winnipeg have locked up playoff spots. Tonight, come on, guys. It's still another chance to put on the pads. It matters, right?
Yeah,
It matters because it's the last Friday night football of the season.
Yeah.
We're getting close to playoff time. Jake Mayer says there's plenty of gratitude in Calgary now. The Stamps are in the playoffs, and Mayer says it feels like there could be momentum. I mean, you're looking for anything when you're 6-11, but they are in the playoffs. You know who has momentum, though? Brady Oliveira, 20 yards away from 2,000 scrimmage yards. Just another benchmark in what could be an MOP season for the Canadian. As we say for the final time, come watch some football with us, Canada. Matthew Shinetti alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, and Milt Steele. Okay, boys, let's get right to it. The fact is, when you look at this Calgary Stampeder team, they're 6-11, and really, Reggie Begelton, Rene Paredes, and maybe Cameron Judge and Micah Alway. But what right now, Matty, who has to step up? Who tonight you want to see that's going to give an indication they could do something in the playoffs?
Well, last week the indicator was the running game, right? And I think that's always consistent and has to be there for the Stampeders in order to find a little bit of momentum. More momentum, certainly, in this football game. They're going to look for that. But I think it's got to be Mark and Michelle. Mark and Michelle, I think there needs to be a balance. Reggie Begelton's going to get his. But if you shut down Reggie, who's going to step up consistently? I think Mark and Michelle certainly has the skills. We've seen flashes this year, but he's got to do it now and step up.
Who you got?
It's your turn,
No,
Chaz.
it's your turn.
It was your turn, man.
Come on, man.
But I'm with Matty. I'll tell you this. I was going to run game. I'm going to run game. And look, it's time for Jake Mayer. It's feeling comfortable, and that's come off the run game. Me and Milt are both on the same page with the run game, no doubt.
Yeah, and you talk about the run game, but all great teams, if you're going to win the Grey Cup, you're gonna have to be balanced. You're gonna have to be balanced, and that's where Jake Mayer has to play better. Of course, you know, their running game, they came to life last week, but we need to see Jake Mayer just take over. We haven't seen that. There was so much that was expected out of him this year, and it's been a disappointment, but he still has an opportunity. He still has an opportunity to make a difference, and it needs to start tonight. He doesn't need to wait till next week. They need to win tonight. He needs to have a great performance so they can carry that momentum over into next week.
How about a great performance in the first quarter and then get out and get some rest? How about that?
He hadn't played well enough for that.
I think
he hadn't played well enough for that.
Critical. And then you get more people in the box. You get the one-on-one opportunities. Now you got Begelton, but you need another choice. Come on, Mark, and step up.
All right.
Yeah, it still matters. Hey, you see, I mean, Calgary, when you're 6-11 and you're looking for just anything like momentum, gratitude, the Bombers, you know, they need to win. Maybe more momentum. Well, we'll see. Calgary and Winnipeg coming up.
The final installment of Friday Night Football for the season brings us to Calgary and a bit of a chilly night at McMahon Stadium. Calgary, though, coincidentally, may be heating up at just the right time. They've won 2 in a row, putting together back-to-backs for the first time this season, heading into the West Semi next week. On the other side for Winnipeg, we know the road to the Grey Cup will go through IG Field, and a Bombers team that is powered by a most outstanding back.
Yeah, double nominee for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. Brady Oliveira led the league in rushing, and it wasn't close with 1498. And is the nominee for the Bombers for Outstanding Player and Outstanding Canadian. Jake Mayer is the only quarterback in the league that has started all 18 games for his team. He will start again tonight. How long we see him, we won't know. It'll probably won't be long, but Mayer over 4,000 yards passing.
Back in the playoffs again, as always, for Dave Dickinson. 7th straight year as Calgary head coach taking his team to the postseason. And a nice little streak right now for Mike O'Shea as well. First place in the West for 3 years in a row. Winnipeg has taken the first 2 of the season series. Everybody wants to stay warm and get through the game healthy. We are underway at McMahon. Engineering Grant takes it just outside his own 22. Brings it back up just outside the 35 on the first return of the ball game. And there is number 6 for the Bombers, Drew Brown.
Well, last week versus Edmonton went 7 for 7 for 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. In fact, what's quite interesting and remarkable for Drew Brown this year is when he has got playing time, including 72 attempts, he has not thrown an interception all season.
Yeah, 7 touchdowns, no picks. Pretty steady so far. It's a 300-yard game this season. He came in and led them from a deficit against Edmonton in that game that the Elks led 22-0. They start on their own 37, right up the middle to Brady Oliveira. It's worked so well all season. That'll put him over 1,500 yards rushing. Big part of this offense for Winnipeg.
Well, up front, they're going to have Jamarcus Hardrick in there. It's outstanding lineman nominee for the Bombers. And Stanley Bryant will rest at left tackle. Drew Richmond will play for him. Lots of changes in the lineup. Oliveira will get his 20 yards from scrimmage. And that gets him to 2,000. That's probably all we'll see of Oliveira. And then, of course, no Zach Collaros tonight. And on defense, the Bombers very different lineup.
-5 at kickoff. That'll be a first down. And the snow has really sort of just started to come down. We had a few flurries just prior to the game, but I don't know if this is going to be sunk in, but this is the most snow that we've seen so far this evening.
Yeah, this just kicked in because it wasn't a bad afternoon here. Apparently over the last couple of days about -10, but around -3 or 4 today, sunny day, and now the snow has come in.
Right at kickoff, it just started snowing. So
welcome to Calgary, where it changes every. Hang in there for a second. It'll change again.
+5 by later on this evening. 4 options out to the right here for Brown. Looks to his left, throws over the middle, and that is a completion for a first down into the hands of Kenny Lawler, who's creeping up towards a 900-yard season himself in just 11 games. This is game number 12.
Yeah, Lawler targeted 76 times this year, and Drew Brown getting him involved early on. Again, this game obviously doesn't have anything to do with the standings, but it is important for young players to get these reps, show the coaches that maybe next year they're ready to start.
Back to Brady Oliveira as he creeps up, needs that 20 yards to get to 2,000 total yards from scrimmage this year. He's going up against his Calgary defense tonight.
A slightly different approach for Dave Dickinson. He's going to play a lot of his starters. Mike Rose led his team with 11 sacks on the season. Mike Holloway was kind of listed as a backup, but will likely start. He's chasing down Alex Singleton's franchise tackle record, and Nick Taylor from safety will bump out to halfback, and Nick Stats gets the start in the secondary.
2nd and 6. Brown down the field. Lawler trying to one-hand it, and then it's almost intercepted. That would have been sensational from Kenny Lawler.
Yeah, when you consider the conditions, the wind that's blowing, and the chance that he even got to this ball was remarkable. Drew Brown putting it on his back shoulder in behind him, and the fact that he almost reeled that in with the right hand, just incredible. But we've seen him do it. I mean, we've seen.
He had a one-hander in the top 10 plays that they showed in the pregame. That would have immediately gone into the top 5, you would have thought. Castillo with the snow falling. A 51-yarder. He hammers that one, and it is through. What a way to start the game for Sergio Castillo as he puts it through, and what a way it would have been to start the game if Kenny Lawler hauls that thing in. Even on the ricochet, that would have been something else. So, yeah, it's snowing in Calgary tonight. Let's send it down to Britt Dort for an update from the field.
Well, you guys said it right from kickoff. All of a sudden, the snow came in and the wind came in with it. It's about -5 right now, but definitely affecting the conditions at the field here. I will say for Calgary in this quarter, probably going to affect them a little bit more because they're facing right into it. I will say Lawler probably struggled a little bit to get that catch right there, but it might have helped the Bombers on that field goal because the wind picking up in that direction.
Yeah, 51-yarder from Castillo to start the game. Special teams player of the year for the Bombers, and he hammered that 51-yarder through with the wind and snow at his back. Incompletion from Jake Mayer as he was trying to find Mark and Michelle to start this ball game.
Yeah, Jake Mayer over 4,000 yards passing on the season. Corrected the touchdown to interception ratio after a lopsided start in those statistics where he was throwing more interceptions early in the season than touchdowns, but really changed that in the last 9 games. And as you mentioned, you know, on a 2-game win streak and winning 3 in a row heading into a playoff game in BC, it would be important for this Calgary Stampeder team.
Flags on the play. Mayer hit as he throws. Up for grabs. Intercepted by Brian Cole. And Cole takes it away for now, depending on that penalty flag. I do believe it is against the Bombers, though.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 44. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
Brian Cole's been a great special teamer so far this year for Winnipeg and makes a play here.
Yeah, just offside on the Bombers. And you can see the jump. Solid hit on Mayer from Cam Lawson.
Lawson getting the start here. Rotation guy quite a bit of the year. Has 5 sacks on the season. Mayer 2nd and 5. All the time in the world. Drops one in there at midfield. And going down to get it was Michel. That's his first catch of the ball game.
Yeah, I would agree with Matt Dunnigan. When the Calgary Stampeders head to Vancouver for the West semifinal, they'll need another top receiver. Reggie Begelton is not dressed for Calgary tonight. They're going to rest him. He's coming off a little bit of injury. Looked like that snuck under.
Might be taking a peek at this.
I was going to say, if they might just go and overturn this. Michael O'Shea talking about that possibility with the officials. And
after automatic review, it's an incomplete pass. It'll be second down.
You know, they were saying, or Dunnigan was saying, that Martin Michel could be that guy. I mean, he's got the resume for it. He's got the skill set for it. He's had sort of a pedestrian type of year at 689 yards and 46 catches. But Calgary wants to do some damage in the playoffs and upset the BC Lions. They're going to need somebody other than Reggie Begelton catching the football for them.
Yeah, Begelton's had such a monstrous year for them. Maybe the most important receiver.
Third down.
To his team across the entire West. A lot of these teams have outstanding receiving cores, and Begelton's been a standalone star this year.
That was the next pick, right?
Yeah.
That's the third.
And will be, obviously, if they put together a run, a miraculous run in the postseason, he would have to be a huge part of it, but it'd be nice if somebody else would step up. Kick this one into the wind, taken cleanly after a 36-yarder by Janarian Grant, trying to find some room on the far side of the field. He will not. Forced out of bounds right around the 35, and out of nowhere it has started to come down here at McMahon. Could last for a little bit. Well, it was a little dicey for a while this season, but the Calgary Stampeders do make it 18 straight years in the postseason. Got some help along the way by the Riders, who couldn't buy a win down the stretch. But in the end, managed to pull it out, and here they go again.
Yeah, and the big win there for the Calgary Stampeders obviously was that head-to-head matchup against Saskatchewan to win the season series.
They'll hand it off to Brady Oliveira, pushing ahead. And that is a nice chunk. That'll be 9, and that does give him 2,000 yards of offense on the season. Just the second Canadian to do it.
And John Cornish also accomplishing that feat in just an outstanding season. I mentioned the close to 1,500 yards rushing. Well, over 1,500 now after a couple of runs here. And that wasn't close. Second place was not close.
26 yards already in this game for Brady Oliveira. Prukop's got enough for a first down before he's tag team down to the turf.
So 2,000 yards, not all purpose, 2,000 yards from the line of scrimmage. In other words, catching the ball to the backfield, something that Brady Oliveira doesn't get enough credit for. Just how good he is. Rushing the football, of course, is the main stat. And when I say not close, there's his 15-27 and counting. Kevin Brown, 1,141. That's 400 yards back. I mean, I even did some math on the second, third, and fourth place running backs if they had the same amount of carries as Brady Oliveira, and they still wouldn't have caught him.
Bobble snap that trickles in there. They do give it to Brady Oliveira. And they do manage to get a few yards out of it, even though it wasn't executed perfectly. It's just been a ridiculous season for Brady Oliveira.
Well, and I liked what Coach O'Shea told us this week. You see that one rolls back in the shotgun. That takes the timing away. But talk to him about Oliveira, and he just sort of sets the tone for this team. He was saying he's the guy that approaches the game both in the practice field and in game day the way we want to approach it.
2nd and 8, flag on the play. They'll give it to Brady Oliveira. Oliveira finding some space, stretching it out, gets the first down, but I think this one might be coming back. Looked like a Bombers receiver was a little early to cross that line.
Yeah, we may see a couple more
Offside.
flags like
Winnipeg,
this.
number 81. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains 2nd down.
That's Robbie Alston, who's making his CFL debut.
Well, Alston,
get the timing right on that.
On the waggle, and also excited to be getting a start and getting a chance to show what he can do. Real important for guys like Alston to show well and sort of plant a seed in the coach's mind that maybe next year it could be considered a starter coming out of training camp or beginning of training camp.
Here's your one game in the CFL this year, a bunch of snow for you to deal with. Brown over the middle, down the field. That's hauled in at the 40. And it's Kenny Lawler again. Fought to stay on his feet this time. He pulls it in, 2nd catch of the game for Lawler.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Drew Brown can even see Lawler. I mean, it's tough.
Do you have to, really?
He just threw it to the spot that he knew he'd be at, and Lawler went up and caught it just in behind Michael Griffin, who's playing linebacker in this one for Brandon Dozier.
If Kenny Lawler were to have a huge day today, he could hit 1,000 yards on the season. Needed 156. That's asking a lot in this type of game, but you never know. Here's Brown. This time he's going to take off himself and just calmly make sure that footing's okay as he slides out of bounds.
Well, if you've been watching CFL football, you know that I'm a big fan of this decision by Michael O'Shea.
Really?
Your starting quarterback and MOP candidate, in an excellent debate by the panel today about Brady Oliveira getting the nod this year and Zach Collaros having an MOP type of season again. It would have been the 3rd in a row if he got the nomination, a chance to win 3 straight. But over 4,000 yards, and I think it is absolutely the right decision to have him watch this one and let the backup group go at it. Drew Brown getting a chance.
Brukop to his right, throws it, and that is incomplete. Brady Oliveira had gotten down the field and was on the run to his right. That'll bring up 3rd and short here for Winnipeg, trying to make a little something work on 2nd and 1.
Well, here's the other thing it does. It puts something on video for the playoffs that whomever the Bombers will face in the West Final will have to game plan for.
Planting doubt.
Yes. Well, they'll say short yardage.
Yeah.
Prukop comes in. We have to prepare for the fact that he might just take it and run and throw it. So that takes up 10 minutes of your practice time.
3rd and 1. This time they'll move him to the left, trying to push ahead. Be a little bit closer than we expected it to be. This will come down to where that ball is spotted.
Both these teams excellent in short yardage for these quarterback sneak type plays, but when you get this much snow on the ground this quickly, short yardage is more of a gamble.
After a little bit of a look at it, they do in fact reward the 1st down to Prukop and the Bombers offense.
Wonder if Micah Alway will get credit for that tackle on Prukop. If he does, he's moving up that list. 121 defensive tackles for Alway.
He needs 3 to set the franchise record.
Absolutely.
Still have him marked down at 2. I'm sure he's going to get there. Brown takes it cleanly, looks down to the end zone. Lawler almost intercepted. What a play by Roberson.
Two corners are the starters for Calgary tonight. The starters that'll start in the West semifinal in Vancouver. Trey Roberson has won 2 interceptions on the season. He's tracking Lawler very well, and then look at the elevation to go up and knock that down. If he doesn't get his hand on that ball and get up there to get it, Lawler makes that catch.
A bit of a Kenny Lawler medicine himself with the one-hander reaching back. 2nd and 10 for Brown. Snow has now led up here at McMahon. 10th play of the drive. A completion. And the first of the evening to Drew Wolodarski.
So, Zach Kalara's not starting. No Nick Dembski. No Dalton Schoen. Yes, Kenny Lawler, starter, is in the lineup. And yes, Brady Oliveira, and no Stanley Bryant at left tackle. And yet the Winnipeg Blue Bombers really controlling the first quarter, leaving their offense on the field. 3-point lead and looking for more.
Well, we'll probably have a Drew Brown discussion at some point tonight about, is he ready? Every time he's gotten a look, I think you've been relatively impressed with what he's seen. Is there a starting job for him somewhere in the near future, somewhere in the Canadian Football League? 42nd red zone of the season. They'll hand it off. 42 red zone TDs this year. They are clipping along at just over 60% are the Bombers in the red zone this season.
Well, whomever they face, Calgary or the BC Lions in the West Final, it'll likely be cold in Winnipeg. Pretty good chance there'll be some snow. And
they just eat that up, don't they?
Absolutely. And Calgary and or BC are going to have to stop the run and stop Brady Oliveira to advance.
2nd and 4. Prukop into the game. Hands it off, and Brady Oliveira has nowhere to go this time. Wigan in there to ruin the party.
Talk about plays that will force whatever opponent they have in the final to game plan for. Quads to the field. One running back here, number 5 on the lineup in Brady Oliveira, running away from the quad formation, and just to give new looks that we haven't seen all year to any one of the opposition they're going to face.
Buck Piercy, tricky guy, eh?
It's outstanding, and I'm not surprised at all.
Castillo out for another, and that one is up and ripped through as Winnipeg goes on top 6-0 here late in the first quarter on the road in Calgary. Jake Mayer and the Stamps offense when we return to McMahon. Welcome back to McMahon, where the race to 700 is interesting. Most wins all-time regular season. Edmonton's done for the year. Calgary's got a crack at it here tonight. 7
chance, but
100 wins.
They're playing the #1 team in the division to get it.
Just can't go a bit without throwing a football, can it? Zach Kolaris, have a rest, sir. 1st and 10 from the 40. They'll pitch it out. Logan takes it. Good initial burst, but he's eventually tracked down by Garbett. Let's take a look at this Calgary offense.
Center Sean McEwen is their nominee for outstanding offensive lineman. Been excellent up front, communicating all the checks. Really the quarterback of the O-line, and we're seeing Dedrick Mills as the starter. Probably be Kadeem Carey in the West semifinal against the BC Lions. Mills missed 2 games against the Lions. Did get a little playing time in one of the games in August, 10 carries in that one, but it was Kadeem Carey in all the games against BC.
Mills can certainly play, though. Leads this team in rushing yards due to the Kadeem Carey injury this year, but averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Now, did this ball get knocked loose? The Bombers are saying that they haven't. Looked like some extra effort. And now a discussion at midfield, and it will be Winnipeg football. We'll get another look at this one as Dedrick Mills carried that ball straight ahead and eventually did not have it when the play ended.
Yeah, Brian Cole.
Ruling on the field is a fumble. First down, Winnipeg.
Peyton Logan up the middle, and Brian Cole rips it out of there. I mean, number 41, he just takes it.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he?
From Peyton Logan. He had an interception to start the game that was called back. He's going after that football tonight.
Brian Cole looking for a full-time job in the defense next year, making plays. This guy just keeps getting better and better. An outstanding season for Brady Oliveira. For more on that, let's send it down to Britt Dork.
Keyword outstanding there, earning his team's most outstanding player award, beating out Zach Collaros, who had it the last 2 previous seasons. And you heard him in the pregame talk about how he was shocked about it. His head coach, though, not shocked at all. He said he is the type of football, the brand of football we want to be playing. He did tell us, though, when he called his mom to tell that he won, she was also shocked. He said, maybe I had a chance at winning most outstanding Canadian, but not MOP. I would have never thought that. But he did also say that people have been coming up to his mom all season long at work, wanting to talk about the great season he's having. So he joked, guys, that, hey, she had something new to brag about this week.
I always want to brag about your kids, don't you? I know there's a lot of people who are a little surprised. I don't know how you can be surprised.
No.
I mean, Brady Oliveira has dominated his position, and it's not even close in the league this year, whereas Zach's had a phenomenal year. Kelly's had a phenomenal year. Vernon Adams has had a phenomenal year. Brady Oliveira has just been so dominant at the position that I think you had to give him that.
Yeah, there's no bad choice there, and it was an MOP type of season for Zach Collaros, but you know, you have to have numbers like this, over 2,000 yards from the line of scrimmage. That type of season is how you beat a quarterback in the nomination for outstanding player.
To dominate in all aspects.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the John Cornish season, the last guy that got Canadian that got 2,000 yards from the line of scrimmage. That 2013 season was unbelievable.
Prukop out into the flat. Johnny Augustine into the game, and he hauls that one in. Now, Zach's numbers this year are very comparable to the seasons in which he has won his back-to-back MOP. So just two, I mean, it's a really good problem to have if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan base sitting here going, yeah, who's the best player? Who's the most outstanding player? Is it our ridiculously good quarterback or the running back who couldn't be stopped this season?
Well, it brings up that conversation. I think the panel touched on it as well before the game in the pregame show, that maybe we should have it that 2 nominees can come from the same team.
100%. Yeah. Put 3 in across the league and just let it be like that. I think that'd be great. It leads to even more debate because there's another person in there to have that discussion with. First down picked up here once again by Augustine, who, when given an opportunity this year, has been good. He's averaging 6 yards per carry himself.
But no bad decision there, and we're seeing a little bit of Dakota Prukop here for Drew Brown in this series. He gets a series in this game as well. Maybe more.
Maybe more.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very important reps for young quarterbacks.
Works from the 23-yard line. Pressure in his face, gets it away. That is hauled in by Greg McCray. And that will do it for the end of the first quarter. Bombers with a 6-0 lead and looking for a little bit more on a snowy, chilly Friday night at McMahon in Calgary. First quarter in the books in Calgary, and boy, Stampeders, they were kind of lucky to only be down 6. They were dominant in that first quarter.
Well, this is what the point about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and just how solid they are top to bottom when you consider that they're not starting with Zach Collaros at quarterback. Their 2 top receivers not in the lineup tonight. Yes, Brady Oliveira starts, but dominant time of possession in the first quarter. This is just a good football team.
Yeah, they've got a lot of different weapons. You got gloves on, eh? I don't have gloves on there. I was going to say. There's Zach Collaros. Offensively this year, the Bombers have, it's tough to think what we've seen from Winnipeg the last few years that they could be better.
They're better
this season, but offensively they are.
Yeah, you take a look at their offense and the improvements. They're up 24 yards per game rushing. They're up 25 yards per game passing, and a field goal per game in points per game. So, you know, take a look at Calgary has slipped a little bit in those categories, but Buck Pierce's group that went to the Grey Cup last year, that went to the Grey Cup the year before, is better this season and have the top running back in the league.
Well, and they did bring back a pretty important weapon in Kenny Lawler, who had a delayed start to the season, but maybe he's the guy who can make that one ridiculous catch along the way. Prukop has that one almost intercepted, actually batted down by the receiver to make sure that Nick Stats couldn't come away with his third pick of the year.
Yeah, Dakota Prukop got away with one there. I mean, he threw it into coverage. There was a couple of guys. I think Alway was there, Nick Stats was there, and happy that one hit the turf. But another chance for the special teams nominee for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Sergio Castillo.
2 field goals already tonight. Now 43 for 48 on the season. This one a 30-yarder to remain perfect. And that is exactly what he does. Mentioned he is the special teams nominee. Let's take a full look at the entire crew of outstanding players this year that they're rolling out there.
Yeah, there's all the discussion about MOP and Brady Oliveira, Willie Jefferson. I think you just give him that nomination just coming out of training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, just...
Unless Big Hill takes it away.
Well, I don't know. I love Big Hill. And by the way, he's not dressed tonight, but we'll play in the semifinal. And I'm happy for Jamarcus Hardrick. I really am. I mean, you know, Stanley Bryan has been sort of a perennial guy in the nomination department, and deservedly so, don't get me wrong, but nice to see Jamarcus Hardrick getting the nod.
Lots of talk coming into the season about Bombers' offensive line, and is it getting old? And all they did was help their running back have over 1,500 yards rushing on the season. Quick release, incomplete. That's Holm, who's having an excellent campaign as well. Gets over there, the second-year Bomber of the North Dakota.
Boy, is he ever. You know, I mean, the defensive nominee, and I'm sort of tongue-in-cheek about Willie Jefferson. Obviously, you have to earn the nomination, but Jefferson did again. 11 sacks, 100 knockdowns, I think it was total on the season. No, I'm kidding. But Evan Holm should have been a consideration.
2 interceptions, 11 knockdowns himself.
Absolutely, he's put a ton of stats on the board this year.
63 tackles on the season as well. Jake Mayer on the run, out to his right. He's one down the field, wide open, and this time it is hauled in. It's the rookie, Cole Tucker, first down of the game for Calgary.
First of all, Jake Mayer is going to extend the play by negotiating the pocket here. Just looking to his left, doesn't like what he sees. He's scanning the field, rolls out to his right, and there is Tucker coming up with a big catch and making sure the officials knew it. 42-yarder. Biggest play of the game so far tonight for Calgary.
Biggest play of the season for Tucker. Previously, that was a 26-yard catch. This one, as Glenn mentioned, goes for 42. Mayer, time again, heaves one down the field. Incomplete. Markin Michelle working against Parker, and Hallett starting at safety tonight, trying to make his way over there as well.
Yeah, Nick Hallett getting his first start of the season, and he sees the quarterback. The safety is supposed to read the quarterback's look. I know you've heard many times read his eyes. You can't really see the quarterback's eyes from that far away when you're the free safety, but you can see his look. The which way is the direction of that helmet. And Mayer stared him down, and that allowed Hallett to get over there in a hurry.
Second and 10 from the Bomber 38. Empty backfield here. They'll get it out into the flat. Markin Michelle bouncing, staying on his feet, taken down from behind. But he might have gotten 10 yards on the play.
And I know there's probably some that think, you know, if you're in a game like this where the standings aren't involved, does the coach do some radical things? Like if you're short by 2 yards, do you just go for it anyway? And I say no.
I was going to say, what do you think?
I say no. I think you want to stay with good habits. You want to keep consistent, make good decisions on the sideline. They've been excellent in 3rd and 1 or 3rd and inches with Tommy Stevens, no question.
Tommy Stevens, monster of a man, pushing ahead, and that will be enough.
We had
a Calgary first down.
We had our draft, Dustin, you and I, on the short yardage quarterback you had picked. I think we both fought over Tommy Stevens.
Right near the top of that list for sure.
They've been excellent. 23 of 25, now 24 of 26. Short yardage, best in the of all the teams in the league.
6'5", almost 260 pounds, and actually runs really well too.
So basically, you've got a guard that's on the short yardage carrying the ball.
Fresh set for Jake Mary's back out there working from the Winnipeg 26. Hands it off right up the middle, and that is Dietrich Mills. And a flag right at the end of the play in the secondary. Nice burst from Mills in these conditions here.
Well, this was the key for Calgary against the BC Lions, that last game that they played against each other last week. 41-16 win for Calgary. They will go and play that rematch in the semifinal.
We have a 15-yard misconduct foul against Calgary, number 54. It's a 15-yard penalty after the play. First down.
Joshua Coker, right tackle.
Oh, correction, second down. Second down.
Is he cruising the pile a little bit? And there's the hit. Edric Hansen takes the brunt of that one. That's called cruising. If you're standing around looking at the pile, you're going to get hit. Now it's a penalty, and you're not allowed to do it, but that's old school. Back in the day, that wasn't a penalty.
You didn't stand around.
You just don't stand around and look at the pile. You're not a statistician. You're either in the tackle or get out of the way.
The game has changed, Glenn.
Yes, for the better. In the player safety department.
2nd and 16 after the penalty. Nowhere to go. And wrapped up immediately on the play. Miles Fox making the play and stopping Tommy Stevens, who was in the game there on that 2nd and 16.
Yeah, you know, I really think he had Dietrich Mills open. He's going to get some pressure right here, and that's who makes the tackle, but he has Dietrich Mills open out here on the swing pass. He looked at it quickly and then decided not to pull the trigger on that one, but Miles Fox shuts it down.
Miles Fox out of Wake Forest. Paredes is in, and Paredes misses it. Janarian Grant gets it out of the end zone, but not very far. He doesn't even get it back to the 5. Paredes flipping along at just under 88% this year. Unable to do what Castillo has already done 3 times. Stevens, nowhere to go. Fox is there. CFL on TSN continues tomorrow as the Tiger Cats take on the Alouettes, followed by the Argos and the Red Blacks. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on TSN. Then we start doing it for real next weekend. Can't wait. Gonna be fun. Prukop in the game. We have seen the last of Prukop. Who knows? It was a Prukop game the rest of the way. Calgary's going to show some pressure. Prukop, quick little slip, able to recover and takes it outside the 5 and gives himself a little bit of space. Oh, one of the things that'll be happening tomorrow.
History, yep.
15-2 right now, looking to make it 16-2 on the season.
I vaguely remember that year.
Why? What happened?
I vaguely remember what went down in 1989 with the 16-2 Edmonton, at the time, Eskimos. Elks.
So 16 wins doesn't guarantee you'll win it all.
Tracy Ham, quarterback of that team. Randy Ambrosi played on that team too, by the way, and I remind him of that quite often.
Do you? Yeah, you see, you bring that up. 3rd and 5. Pregame couldn't get that one into the hands of his intended target. Like always, got 3 tackles in this game. And that sets a franchise record for the Calgary Stampeders with 124 tackles on the season.
What a year. Nominee outstanding defensive player for Calgary.
Jamison Sheen kicking it here to Peyton Logan, and he will kick it away. Logan is going to take this on the Winnipeg 46. Great field position coming up. Ooh, a heavy pop on Logan, and he stumbles all the way out of bounds. That's Brian Cole again. He's having himself a game. Jake Mayer is still trying to get going. Well, not much on the line in this game, but Jake Mayer still wants to see a good effort from his team. For more on that, let's send it down to Bricktor.
Yeah, Jake told me a month ago he had this game circled as a must-win. And now that it doesn't actually matter in the standings, he told me I still have it circled as a must-win because we're trying to win 3 in a row, something we haven't done this season. And guys, if they do get the win here tonight, that would mean 2 of the 3 wins have come from teams that they have to beat if they want to get to the Grey Cup. He also said he's told his teammates, hey, we're 1 of 6 now. Let's act like it.
I like having that swag, even though you didn't necessarily play like that throughout the year.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's only happened one other time where a 6-win team has got to the playoffs.
And now a lot of room to run for Dedrick Mills. First down and a little bit more. Takes it down inside the 25. 16-yard pickup for 26.
In between quarters, the brushes came out and cleaned the hash marks. And Dedrick Mills makes a real nice cut right in that clean area. And then bounces it to the outside for a good run for Calgary. Yeah, I agree with you on Jake Mayer and what Britt was talking about with him wanting to, finish on a positive note in the regular season. Plus, it exercises a demon against the Bombers.
It hasn't been great against the Bombers, has never beaten the Bombers or 4 in his career against them. Now, this isn't the real Bombers, but it is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Here's Mayer. This time, and he is hit heavily, held on to the ball. Tanner Schmeckel, first-year Bomber out of the University of Regina, makes him pay the price.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a Bomber team with a lot of backups playing and young guys trying to get a chance to get after it here and make an impression on their head coaches. It's an important game for them, but you have to go back to 2019. The last time Calgary beat Winnipeg in a game that mattered to the Bombers. They both had 10 wins at that time. That one mattered, but it was that long ago that they beat Winnipeg.
2nd and 10. Mayer dumps it over the middle and behind Peyton Logan. Reached back for it, but couldn't haul it in with one hand.
Yeah, Jake Mayer wants that throwback because 2 things. One, it's a running back on it, and that's one thing. But the other is it's just a little bit behind him. He's coming across full speed, and likely Logan needs to gear it down a little bit, and that's what Mayer was expecting. Again, Peyton Logan missing a ton of action this year due to injury. 12 games as a matter of fact, but important add going into the playoffs.
It's certainly a weapon you can use in the return game. Mix in a little bit change of pace from Mills and or Kadeem Carey. Calgary on the board. You have to go back to 2015 and Chris Jones for the last time a West coach was in the Grey Cup, and it wasn't one of these 2 guys we're seeing tonight. 3 straight Grey Cup trips for Dickinson, then a transition to the Bombers and O'Shea, and they've taken over that mantle atop the West since.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it really coincides with the quarterback position for both of these head coaches.
Pregame, a little bit high, but it is hauled in by Rasheed Bailey.
And when Dickinson and the Calgary Stampeders were the dominant team in the West, Bo Levi Mitchell was their starting quarterback in his prime, and he's still got some game left. Yep. We'll see that in the playoffs. I'm just saying, he was, I think, an MOP in 2 of those 3 years. Zach Collaros took over for Winnipeg in 2019, last game of that regular season, and he's just gone 39-8 since then.
With a couple of MOPs as well.
Exactly.
1st and 10 after a 12-yard pickup to Bailey. This will be handed off. Greg McCray tracked down by Awe. Not before he picks up about 7 yards on that carry.
So this version and this year's version of the Calgary Stampeders, slightly younger, and the changing of the guard at quarterback. Not to say you should be selling stock in Jake Mayer, but he's trying to find his way and has played a lot better in the back half of the season.
4,000-yard campaign for the first time. 10th quarterback for Winnipeg to do it, or for Calgary rather. 2nd and 3 here for Winnipeg from the Calgary 51. And they'll hand it off, pushing ahead. Look at that push. First down, no doubt about it, and eventually a whistle just before they get to the 40.
I think Mike Awe got involved on that tackle as well, so he continues to add to the total. I'm not sure if they know that he's set the franchise record, 124 tackles. Alex Singleton had a couple big years.
He was okay, wasn't he?
17 and 18.
That's the type of year always had. It's been
absolutely. Omni outstanding defensive player, deservedly so, and a little surprised to see him still out there, to be honest. But
talking to Dave this week, he said he wanted to start everybody. He wanted to put his whole roster out there. The only reason that he didn't put everybody out there, guys were either too banged up to play, or if they, if it was the playoff game, they would have pushed through. But yeah, he told us this week. I said to him, I said, how do you manage your roster in this type of situation? Because Calgary's still trying to hit their stride. Winnipeg knows it. They're in this game differently, I think. And he said, yeah, if I could have, I would have. I want to start everybody, but some guys say, a little banged up. Like that, a little bit of time.
Bagleton.
So, like Bagleton, Kadeem Carey. These guys have been battling a lot of things throughout the year, but he wanted to run out his entire starting roster and go out and continue to try to find their game, right? First time all year they've won back-to-back games. And
well, Jake Mayer is still playing.
Yeah, right? That's a perfect example of it.
And the other thing is, and it's a smaller thing, but Calgary's at home here. The Bombers are on the road, so you can make the argument that when you're on the road and you're the road team, extra effort there from Augustine, but when you're the road team, you can leave some guys back home. You're not playing in front of your fans. It's a smaller thing, but
you want to stay home or you want to go stand on a chilly sideline at McMahon? Tough call.
A good second effort here from Johnny Augustine. But you're right, like whenever he's got his opportunity, and that's the thing you heard in the pregame show with Brett and Brady Oliveira, when Oliveira was saying, tonight we want to just honor our teammates. We want to show our attitude and how we're approaching the game to our teammates.
Right back to him again, spinning ahead and eventually up and over. And he's taken down as we hit 3 minutes here at McMahon. Augustine just keeps on churning those legs, doesn't he? Friendly ride from the former Calgary Dino, Nick Stats.
Sure, this game is happening, but at halftime, we're going to go ahead and talk about the BC Lions and Bo Levi Mitchell and how much they play for Hamilton.
It's 20 degrees Celsius out. What are you doing, son?
It's good enough for Britt Dorr. It's good enough for me.
Softest hospital car.
What's wrong?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's good enough for you. I don't know about that, too. Back on the ground. 2nd and 2, only needed a couple.
Greg McCray getting a touch.
A couple of touchdowns on the season for Greg McCray.
Well, when you combine Dembski, McCray, and Bailey, they've combined for 52 running plays in the offense. That's a lot of fly sweep type action, and one of the reasons that Buck Pierce's group is tough to defend. A lot of misdirection.
It's
funny you talk about the misdirection because I chatted with Jake Cerezza on my show this week, and we asked him, like, who was he had a really nice season for Edmonton, right?
Yeah,
MOD
absolutely.
Nomination there. I said, who was the biggest challenge for you this year? And he said, you know, it was Winnipeg, but not because of the offensive line, but because as a defensive player, they had so many different schemes going that you had to think about. You couldn't just pass rush, right? You had so many different things going on with these fly sweeps, I think, that you're talking about, and how they factor into it.
Well, it's just to take the eyes or just a first step movement in the wrong direction for a defender, and that's what Buck Pierce has done so well with this offensive group. Just look over here.
Yeah.
We're going the opposite direction.
Do that a lot with this guy in the quarterback now, Prukop. He can certainly run with the ball if he wants. And that's where he's going to go now on the run to his right. Flags. And he's taken down just inside the 20. It's like a hold against Winnipeg here.
And, you know, I know there's already a coaching vacancy in the Canadian Football League in
Winnipeg,
Saskatchewan.
number 53. It's a 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And I've got a nominee for the job. I'm going to just be the first to nominate Buck Pierce as a possibility. And I know there'll be a lot of good names on that list. And Buck Pierce is not going to talk about it. And he's got work to do this season. But a young candidate that I think would be worth an interview for sure.
It's funny you brought him up, because as I was prepping today, I'm just writing down all the coaches and stuff. And I wrote his name. I was like, how come his name hasn't popped up a lot for that?
It should.
Yet, right?
It should, yep.
3 to the right, 3 to the left here for Prukop. Shuffles to his left. That's up in the air. And it does fall incomplete with a minute and 23 seconds on the clock.
Was it Michael Griffin that got it? See Prukop taking a look to his left, the left of the formation. Then he wants to go back and drop it over the middle. Adiemi Berglund, I think, got his hands on that one.
It was right there in the face of Prukop. 5 sacks on the season. Adiemi Berglund.
Part of the regular rotation in front. Again, their front 7, basically the starters, although Cam Judge is not in the lineup. That's a biggie.
Yeah, if Calgary's going to go on this spectacular run somehow, it's going to be based on the strength of this front 7. Prukop in trouble. Ball is out, trying to lunge back on it. And I believe he managed to get there, and he does come up with it. But there's Calgary's defense making a play again. That's another one of their regular guys. Julian Hauser had an excellent season, 5 sacks himself.
All the way around the horn to catch Prukop from the backside. Working on Drew Richmond, who's getting a chance to play at that left tackle spot for Stanley Bryant. Went through a real tough injury situation last year, did Richmond, and real high hopes for him in the future, but Julian Hauser got around him on that one.
Sergio Castillo looking to make it 4 for 4. This one from 42. And he remains perfect on the night for Winnipeg.
So we talked about Micah Awe and him setting the franchise record. There is your defensive player nominee, Micah Awe, and Cam Judge, top Canadian. And, you know, in any other year with his stats and what he did in contributing to the wins for Calgary, I know they weren't a lot of wins, but those wins, I mean, he, you know, would even be in an MOP type of discussion. Reggie Begelton, I don't think there's any question that he is certainly deserving of the MOP nod, but also, you know, if you wanted to make it an MVP nod, you could
make that for him too.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me started on the MVP MOP debate.
Okay.
I can't take much more of it, and we've still got a long way to go. There, near side of the field, and you can tell the footing out there not excellent. And that was Peyton Logan who wasn't able to haul it in. Less than a minute to go here in the second quarter. Calgary trailing 12-3.
You probably got a little more plus or minus room when you're throwing to a receiver. It's a little bit less. That window shrinks for quarterbacks when you're throwing to tailbacks.
A 5'8" tailback?
Yeah, a tiny tailback, speedster type tailback. Got to be a little more accurate with those guys.
Jake Mayer just 2 for 8 in this ball game for 42 yards. This time they'll hand it off. Nice burst. Look at him go, Logan, trying to find that first down, but Jamal Parker stretched him out, and he's going to come up short. Looked like he might have had a path there if he'd gone straight ahead. Tried to go wide to get around him and ends up being a couple yards short.
Yeah, I think, though, for Peyton Logan on this run that, you know, he just couldn't, as he breaks to the outside, he couldn't make the cut he wanted to with the snow. So he just got strung out.
Tried to run by you instead.
Yep.
So with the clock ticking down here, 3rd and 2 Calgary on their own 48. Grant back waiting for this. It'll hang up there for a while. Grant takes it after a 46-yard kick, and he is smothered immediately before he could really get anything going on that return. Charlie Power, among others, down the field in special teams coverage.
Well, not only is Coach O'Shea protecting Zach Collaros from any sort of freak thing in a game that doesn't matter in the standings, he's also looks like he's protecting Drew Brown a little bit.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, if Collaros is to get banged up, we know Drew Brown has come in and played extremely well. Got to have him ready to go too, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. Had a game versus Edmonton in August where he threw Drew Brown, threw for over 300 yards, and I mentioned 7 for 7 last week versus Edmonton. So they've seen what they need. So they need what they've seen what they need to see, the Bombers, the coaching staff. And I agree with you on Drew Brown. You know, I think he's been around. He's learned from Zach Collaros. He told us this week how much he's learned from Zach. And I think he is ready to maybe lead a team next year.
Problem for him is that we've seen other young quarterbacks actually emerge on some of these teams this year, right? So teams that might have been in the mix to maybe inquire about a Drew Brown.
I should have asked him.
So crazy to do it.
Should have asked him about his contract situation. I didn't get to that, but either way, though, you could trade for him.
Yeah, there's always ways to acquire people, right? So, yeah, Drew Brown, he comes in 3 of 5 in this game. 50 yards, turned it over to Prukop after that, got what he needed, but Drew Brown, one of the more steady backups in the Canadian Football League so far this season, and you know, still relatively inexperienced, right? We don't know really exactly what he's going to be, but I think you're intrigued to see a little bit more of him. Super chill dude too. I think you saw him yawning there as he's walking on the field. I remember asking him earlier in the season on one of our Zoom calls with him, are you always like as chill as you are in interviews? You're going to see it here with Britt when he joins her. He's a pretty relaxed dude, so he's with our Britt Dort right now.
Drew, you talked to us this week about how important it was for you to get into rhythm when you got into this game. So how do you evaluate your performance in that first half?
I thought we moved the ball pretty well. You'd like to finish in the end zone. We've kind of stalled out a few times, but we'll see what Coach has to say. See if we can put up touchdowns instead of field goals.
We see you splitting reps with Prukop. Can we expect to see some action from you in the second half?
Yeah, we got to see, what the plan is. But I guess we'll find out soon.
All right. Well, thanks for this one, Drew.
Thanks.
To Matthew and the panel.
You're going to have a big debate about how fast that second half can be.
Yes, yes.
Instead, we'll focus on the West Semi Boys and the BC Lions. And Milt, when you take a look at what BC would have wanted to do, they would have wanted to host the West Final. And then Calgary comes in last week and beats them 41-16. So how does BC get their mojo back before next week?
I think they're fine. I don't think they ever lost it. And I know some people are concerned about what happened last week, but I'm not. It was just one of those games. But they just need to go out there and play some great football. And it starts with the quarterback, Vernon Adams. When he's consistent, it's difficult to beat this team. I don't care who you are. When Vernon Adams at the top of his game and he's playing consistent football, they can beat anyone. Yeah. Especially when they're playing at home. It's going to be a hostile environment. So I don't think they ever lost their mojo. And I'm not putting anything into what happened to them last week. They come out and play the football that they're capable of playing. as I just alluded to, especially Vernon Adams, and they have a great opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, I agree with that, Milt. I think Rick Campbell flushes this, you know, and says, we're moving on, guys, you know, and I think that was the mindset of that football team. Look, I go back to what happened in Week 18 when Winnipeg went there and won that game, outscored BC 24-6 in the last 2 quarters in overtime, and some quarters that mattered, and to gain that home field advantage and win the West basically on that football game. And I think that's the one they're looking at, and I think that's the one they're prepping for. And if Calgary can somehow go there and duplicate that, what's happening today in this football game in these conditions is going to benefit them. I don't think BC can go to Winnipeg and play in conditions like this, and I don't think they want to, but they have to. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for this football team, is getting past the Calgary Stampeders 1 and then going to IG Field and taking care of business in conditions like this. I think leg up on Calgary right now based on what they did last week.
Yeah, BC's is the top passing offense in the league. And early on, what we saw from this Lions team, which was so impressive, Nathan took off, and Vernon Adams took over Jordan Maximic's offense, and it was how decisive and quick he made his decisions. And that we all marveled at that early in the season. Last week, what I saw was VA looked tentative. He looked indecisive. Now, was it because it was the end of the year and, you know, other things were going on? And is that why? I don't know. But I will say this, that if you look at the West, the 2 best teams when it comes to pass defense, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders. Actually, the whole league, they're the top 2 passing defenses. That's who BC's going to have to get through if they want to get to the Grey Cup. And the only way they're getting there, you said it, this is a passing offense. They're going to need to pass the ball. VA's just got to be decisive, let it go.
You know, I can't believe you can talk about their defense. If BC cranks up that defensive front, right? No, right. If BC cranks up that defensive front and they get after Calgary, no question they can be in Calgary. Because I think in Winnipeg in a couple of weeks' time, I really believe that's the key for them, right? Is not only everybody talks about their offense being explosive, Milt, I really believe that defense is their key to winning and going to Winnipeg.
Calgary great pass defense is because their run defense is bad. That's why they have a decent pass defense. Offenses run the ball on them. So that's what BC's going to have to try to do.
I go back to what Matty was saying about Rick Campbell. He'll want to keep the emotions down. As for Orlando Steyer and Bo Levi Mitchell, well, we're going to talk about it after the break, because Bo playing this weekend is still pretty big.
And for the first time, the Hamilton Ticat fans get to see Bo Levi Mitchell as a starting quarterback in a home game.
Mitchell looks to his right, slant rail, underneath, complete. Touchdown, Tiger Cats. Bo looks over the top, big ball, Tim White over the shoulder. Touchdown, Tiger Cats.
Poise that a veteran brings to the table.
This is a good, positive game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I was in Hamilton yesterday and spoke to Orlando Steinauer and Ticats offensive coordinator Scott Milanovich, excuse me. And the one thing, Matt, they talked about Bo Levi Mitchell. They talked about gelling, that he still needs that time, and that every opportunity he gets to play, and it's a small window, I might say, in what's left in the regular season. How important is that going to be, knowing that they're going to face Montreal again in Montreal next week? Yeah, great point. I think both is important for the Hamilton Tiger Cats fan base and for Bo Levi Mitchell himself to go out there and prove that he can play, and he's back to where he once was. I'm going back 4 years ago, because that's what they're trying to do, is turn back the clock. And if he can't do it, then we're going to see Matthew Schultz. And I believe that it's extremely important for their mojo as a football team moving forward. More importantly, for the quarterback himself, Bo, going out there consistently and making it happen.
Rhetorical question: if Bo struggles tomorrow, do they start Schultz in the playoffs? You know, that's a question. You know, do they do that? But I think Bo will have a decent enough game where they'll start him. But if he doesn't play well early on in that playoff game, I wouldn't be surprised if they go to Schultz, you know, give him an opportunity to see if he can get it done. But I think tomorrow is big for Bo to go out there and continue progressing to making sure he's ready for the playoffs.
Right. The best Hamilton offense right now is a dual quarterback. I think
you think so?
I think that's the best.
Isn't it always a Hamilton offense like that in the playoffs? Come playoff time, it seems to be that way.
Maybe, but what we've seen so far, they both have different skill sets, regardless of how Bo plays. He just hasn't played a lot of football recently, and we've seen some good stuff from Schultz though. So, and I think that's something that presents challenges for the defense.
Now, say after the playoff game, Bo is killing it. Do you still do the rotate? You keep him going, right?
You keep going with that.
Yeah.
The Milanovic effect on Mitchell in that quarterback room, it's got to be huge moving forward. And there's still some, as you said, gelling going on with Scott Milanovic's offense and Bo Levi Mitchell. More important to take, and for the reps, he needs those.
I thought you said jelly at first. Peanut butter. I'm like,
what did you say?
No.
I like peanut butter and jelly.
I like a good peanut butter and jelly. Now here's a really interesting stat from the stat magician Steve Daniels. Not since 1970, and the Montreal Alouettes has a third-place team in the East gone and won the Grey Cup.
Wow.
So we'll see. The Ticats will be in Montreal. Doubleheader tomorrow. Starts at 4. And then the Chad Kelly-less Toronto Argonauts are in Ottawa to close out Ottawa's obviously forgettable season. But the Argos, just one more game, and then they are off after 10 straight weeks of football. And more added to the Grey Cup festivities. 4-time Juno nominee Jamie Fine will take center stage for the SiriusXM Grey Cup kickoff show. The Ottawa native will kick off the festivities on November 19th ahead of the 110th Grey Cup at Tim Hortons Field. And it's quite a lineup that is building. Mr. Leva Leva himself, Shaggy, will be there, and I know that Milt will be there. Maddie, maybe for Carrie Underwood, and you're a big Green Day guy, right?
Yeah.
You'll be out there.
Absolutely.
Davis?
Absolutely.
What a Grey Cup festival is coming to Hamilton.
Let's go.
All week.
Wasn't me.
What's going on, everybody? It's Jamie Fine, and I am so excited to be performing for y'all at the SiriusXM Kickoff Show on Grey Cup Sunday. It's going to be lit, I promise. We'll see y'all there.
Sure, this game is happening and their stats on the board there, but I just want to thank everybody for letting this sideline guy sit in this seat. This is Kate Burness's chair, but being around Milt and Maddie and Davis and producer Troy and producer Jamie, it's been a lot of fun. I will be back on the sidelines next week wearing my Brit Dort hat. We will see you on the sidelines leading into Hamilton. Thanks for all the fun this season, guys.
Yes, sir.
Chilly night in Calgary, and a chilly night for the Stampeders so far as they do trail Winnipeg 12-3. One of their stars on the defensive side of the ball, Micah Alway, is with our Brit Dort.
Micah, a game that we know doesn't mean anything in the standings, but I'm sure it means a lot to you. You passed the single-season tackle record for the Calgary Stampeders. What had to go into this season for you to be able to do that?
Oh, man, that started for me from some kid from Nigeria that got a visa lottery and happened to be in Texas in 7th grade, and I just joined the football team because all my friends did it, and I started off on D team, and I cried in very first practice of my life, and I told myself I never want to be on the bottom, and I never want to have that happen to me again. So from that day, I just knew one thing: I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to give myself the best opportunity. So that's when it started. It was when I was a little kid in 7th grade and on the D team, and everyone counted me out.
Well, congratulations, Micah. Like I said, well deserved, and have a great second half.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Well, mission accomplished, and quite the story, isn't it, Suits?
Just outstanding. I mean, you get the hairs in the back of your neck stand up, and just his journey and the sacrifice and all the work pays off with a tremendous season this year, but just a great career for Micah Alway as he continues to build on it.
127 tackles on the season. He's moving up the list of all-time great seasons for tackles, and we'll monitor that here in the second half. Logan on the return, little stumble. They have cleared off the field here at halftime, so that might help things a little bit. Logan on the return. Jake Mayer rolls back out here, 2 of 8 in the first half for 42 yards.
Yeah, clearly the Calgary Stampeders like to see their offense get a little more traction in this second half before they head to Vancouver for the Western semifinal. In that game, as I mentioned, they won 41-16. A tremendous balance in the offense. Best game for Kadeem Carey. Not a lot of stats for Mayer, but did what they had to get the win.
Mayer, they'll get a move into his right, drops it in there just outside the 50 for a first down. As he gets it to Odom's Dukes for the first time today, and it goes for 17 yards.
Yeah, a good, basically the first year. He's a second-year CFL player, but first year as a full-time starter for Odom's Dukes. And take a look at his numbers. Very, very good season. That I think that the way he could elevate that season and elevate his play is on those deep balls and getting in behind coverage, blowing the top off coverage. Just 3 30-yarders this year.
Missed a couple of games this season as well. And now this will be taken away by Mills, and what a rush from Dedrick Mills. Maybe the best play of the night offensively for the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, here's the balance that I was talking about that they showed us in the BC game last week. It was Kadeem Carey there. Dedrick Mills, very capable. Again, nice cut. They've got the field cleaned off a lot better so the athletes can make these kind of moves in the open field. 27-yard gain to get the Stamps down into field goal range at the very least.
Well, stiff arm on Hallett to keep that play alive. That worked from the Winnipeg 31. Back to Mills. Kind of tripped up, but takes it down inside the 30 for a 4-yard pickup on first down.
There were times this season that Dave Dickinson played Dedrick Mills and Kadeem Carey on the roster at the same time. One of the 3 games against the Lions, they were both on the roster. Both got touches.
Interesting, though, they're very similar backs, and with Peyton Logan healthy, he gives you a little bit of a different look.
Can you get all three?
I mean, if you do and you can somehow utilize them, that would be rather remarkable. 2nd and 7. It's Logan who's checked into the game now, stands in there to the left of Mayer. Jake's going to take a shot downfield towards the end zone. Incomplete, looking for Hakuna Vanu, and he couldn't make a play on it cleanly.
That's a pretty good throw. We'll see what the coverage did on the end of this corner route. Little peek by Jake Mayer before he even got the snap and got the football. He wanted to go deep. He had an out route out there as well. The intermediate zone. Decides to go to Hakuna Vanu, and pretty good coverage.
Karamoko was there.
Yeah, inside out.
Bounced that one right off his melon, didn't he? Paredes, 35-yarder, straight down the gut. Calgary trailing by 6 at home in their regular season finale. Well, let's take a look at the outstanding first half from Micah Alway.
6 defensive tackles in that first half. That gets his total up to 127, which puts him in pretty elite company all time in tackles in a season.
Drew Brown back in the ball game here, hands it off, and Greg McRae is going to take off. And he moves that on to Calgary's side of the field.
One of 2 things happened on this play in the Calgary defense. Either Micah Alway is not in the lineup right now, or they got someone out there to block him, but Alway was up on the line of scrimmage, so his job was to maintain containment, maybe a bit of a hole.
Yeah, a little bit of a hole, eh? Well, fewer flags the better here, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We were talking about Alway and the year that he's putting together, and it is moving up this list of all-time great season suits.
Yeah, a couple more, and he's tied Solomon Elimimian, one of 3 top 4 seasons, all with the BC Lions. J.C. Sherritt with the Edmonton football team in 2012. And, you know, I loved what he said about his journey, and also speaks to the inclusion that football creates.
2nd and 9 for Brown. Great over the middle. That'll be a first down as he gets it to Greg McCray. You heard Drew Brown say there at halftime. What did he say? He said, we want to finish some drives. I think he's back out in this game to finish the drive and then turn it back over to Pregame.
Well, I think the plan for their quarterbacks between he and Pregame was preset. I mean, Coach O'Shea didn't, I don't think he was going in thinking he would just play it by ear. We weren't going to see Zach Collaros. We're not going to see him tonight, but I'm sure it said, let's let Drew Brown start the game, go a few series, and then start the second half, and then probably hand it over to Pregame.
Brown takes it himself. Quick little slide at the Calgary 35.
Now, does Awe get the tackle for that, because he was standing over top of Drew Brown when he slid?
Give it to him. 2nd and 7, 3 yards on a little scamper ahead from Drew Brown.
I said that out loud because I'm hoping that that's the direction that the stats department goes, and we can get him in that top 4. Let me rephrase it. He can get himself in the top 4.
We're literally doing nothing.
Yes.
There's Brown. Man, he had some zip on that pass, didn't he? Guns it in there to McCray once again.
Take a look at McCray just sort of nonchalantly finding the spot. That's what receivers do when they're playing against a zone look. It's not about running as fast as you can. It's about weaving your way to that open area.
Silas Stewart with the tackle on McCray after that catch. Pregame back into the game on 3rd and inches on the Calgary 29. And again, just kind of kick it out to the right. Ball pops out. Calgary's going to pick it up.
How about Awe there?
Eventually, it was a Darius Taylor who came up with it, but as we talk about Micah Awe involved here for the Calgary defense again.
Wow, he came over the top and just put a big hit on Pregame. Here he goes. This is middle linebacker play at its best, stepping over the pile and climbing to Pregame, hitting him, turning away, causing the fumble. That's a forced fumble by 5'7", and yeah, Taylor picks up the fumble there. Part of ripping it out, but what a hit by Awe.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
All turnovers are.
That's pretty clear. That ball looked like it was out, eh? Taylor had that stripped pretty good.
Well, there's certainly no whistle to stop the play, and it looked like Pregame was still trying to dig for yards when Awe hit him, and Taylor was ripping at the ball.
Pretty surprised if they actually do decide
After
to
review,
turn this one
the ruling
around.
on the field stands.
So it, in fact, is a fumble for Pregame caused by an excellent effort from the Calgary Stampeders defense. Darius Taylor ripped it away. Awe celebrates with him. Well, no Cam Judge in the lineup tonight. He's been a playmaker defensively, but other guys stepping up here, Glenn.
Well, Darius Taylor gets a chance here to show the coaching staff, hey, next year in training camp, come back, get a new contract, and maybe get a chance to start in the linebacking core. That's a pretty good strip of the football with help from Awe on the hit.
First year out of FAU. 8.5 to play in the third. They'll hand it off. Nice little burst. First down for Calgary. And it's Dedrick Mills once again. That puts him almost at 70 yards on 5 carries.
Yeah, and the one thing we haven't talked a lot about is the blocking up front in this run game. You go back now for the last 2 games and 2 wins for Calgary, and then this second half of this one, we're seeing some big runs from that Calgary offense. The guys up front opening up some holes. Yes, it's not the starting front 7 for the Bombers.
None of that front 7.
No,
right,
none
nobody
of
there, yeah.
But still got to make your blocks.
Working from the Calgary 47, out into the flat. That is caught and brought ahead. Nice burst here. Another first down for the Stampeders as Hunchak gets involved in the offense. Just his 7th catch of the season.
A couple of good plays stacked on top of each other here for the Calgary offense. A little play action that draws the defense into the middle and allows Hunchak to outflank basically the front 7. Get himself in the secondary. Back-to-back big plays.
Down to the Winnipeg 44. Calgary's offense best described as stagnant so far this evening. Looking to change that here. Mayer got one at the feet of Hunchak as they went back over to him again.
Yeah, I think that was Theatric Hansen that forced a inaccurate throw from Jake Mayer. Pressure can do that. Big D lineman in the face of a quarterback trying to throw, in 4th year for Hansen. He was really sort of the poster child of the European.
Yep. Global draft influence.
Richie Hall, who has had a shot at a head coaching job before. One of the top defensive coordinators in the game.
2nd and 10, pressure coming. It's picked up. Mayer gets it away. Michelle breaks 1 tackle, finds some space, pushes ahead for a Calgary first down.
I think that's what Matt Dunnigan was talking about in the pregame when you think about the West semifinal. And Reggie Begelton will be in the lineup, but there's things you can do defensively to try and put more coverage on one receiver in particular, so that means that opens up opportunities in one-on-ones for another one, and that's what he's talking about with Mark and Michelle, and that's the kind of skill set that we've seen in the past from Michelle, and we've seen flashes of it this year. A little bit more of that in the playoffs will really help Calgary's cause.
Yeah, Mark and Michelle just catching 55% of the passes thrown in his direction so far this season. Another burst right through that defense by Dedrick Mills. Give him 12 more. It suits. He's over 80 yards on 6 carries tonight.
You mentioned that good 6-yard average, just as good as Kadeen Carey on the season, and their leading rusher. Carey missed a lot of games, but again, pretty good blocking up front to get Dedrick Mills in the 2nd level into that linebacking core.
1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 21. Can Calgary finally finish a drive here tonight? Mayer gets rid of this one quickly. That is caught. Nice little spin move. Some room to go. Touchdown, Stampeders. To the end zone for the first time in his career. Cole Tucker. Hang on to that ball, young man.
Some nice yak yards for Cole Tucker in that first touchdown for him. First of all, timing excellent by Mayer. Get it out quickly so he can make this move, spin to the outside, get some help on a little chip block, and the final 8 to 10 yards, 88, picks up on his own.
First year out of Northern Illinois in his first trip to a CFL end zone. And now for the lead, and that is stroked through by Paredes. It was a 6-play, 78-yard drive that took just under 4 minutes, and it's finally finished by the Stampeders. Number 88, Cole Tucker with a touchdown.
Hey man, shout out my boy Lou, blocking downfield, only reason I scored. Shout out to Calvin, Illinois, first touchdown ever. Man, it feels good.
Nice. Congratulations, man. That's great. There's Grant on the return. Can he get away? Not this time. Wrapped up just outside the 30.
Well, it feels good for Cole Tucker to finish what was a drive that has got to make their head coach for the Calgary Stampeders, Dave Dickinson, feel a lot better about his offense. I mean, got some good balance in it, stacking some big plays down the field, quarterback negotiating the pocket and accurate with the throws. Good running game and blocking up front. And then Cole Tucker with a nice individual effort after catching that great throw from Mayer, and that's a drive I'm sure Dickinson feels better about watching this game.
4th overall pick in the 2023 draft was Tucker, and maybe the first of many to come for him here with Calgary. Brown finds Wolotarski, and that'll bring up 2nd and short. So Dakota Prukop trots back onto the field. 4 minutes left here in the 3rd quarter. Winnipeg, we talked about Calgary having not been able to finish any drives just yet. For Winnipeg, same script. Sergio Castillo, 4 field goals in this game. There's Alway right on top of Prukop. Didn't need much. Had to get to the 41, basically.
We keep checking his stats to see if he's getting credit for these tackles, and we'll update that list, the all-time list, but Alway is getting after it. This time he tackled the Winnipeg offensive line.
He is up to 8 tackles now in the official stats for this game.
That's 129.
Puts him up to 129. Here's Drew Brown into, oh boy, what a lucky bounce there. And that's going to be taken by Rasheed Bailey down inside the 30. Bailey inside the 20, cuts it back, still going. Bailey will not be stopped. End zone. What an effort. Are you kidding me, Rasheed Bailey? A couple of cracks at him, but they could not bring him down. And Winnipeg answers right back. 68 yards for 88.
Well, it starts with a throw from Drew Brown that is just high enough to survive a tip on the way to Rasheed Bailey. He's going to let this go and gets just enough on it. There's the tip. Bailey maintains the concentration on the football, and then he goes to work, breaking a couple of tackles. Roberson cuts back on him, and then extra effort over the goal line. And just like that, the Bombers are back on top.
Castillo to make it a 6-point cushion. Knocks it through. Rasheed Bailey's 6th touchdown of the season. Also his longest play of the year. 68 yards. He had to work for it, didn't he? First touchdown pass of the game for Drew Brown is his 8th of the season. Has not thrown an interception yet either. For more on the young quarterback and his relationship with the starting quarterback, Zach Collaros, let's send it down to Britt Dorr.
Well, Drew Brown considers himself the luckiest quarterback in the league because he gets to work alongside Zach Collaros and learn from him. He talked about his early days as a Bomber and said, you know, I used to text Zach on days off and say, hey, would you meet me at the field and go over some stuff with me? And Zach always would. He talked about the great character that Zach Collaros is on and off the field. Said, I want to emulate that in my style of play. We saw it a little bit here and there tonight on that last pass, guys, but I want to say my favorite part about Drew Brown is the fact that he talked about Bomber fans might love Zach Collaros, but I consider myself the biggest fan of Zach Collaros.
So he fits in with everybody else, I guess, right?
Well, hey, and I think you're bang on when you say he's due for a chance.
This will be taken just outside the 21 by Logan. Broke a couple of tackles, stayed on his feet. And will they eventually get him down? Yes. 5'8", 185 pounds. And took about 6 guys to eventually stop him, didn't it?
Well, he was dynamic in that BC game, and you know, when you think about how Dave Dickinson will put together the lineup for the semifinal, I mean, you got to keep 20 on it.
He's got to be in there.
He's a game changer, and that quickness and speed really is the sort of opposite look from Dedrick Mills or Kadeem Carey. But could you get all three, run the veer and the triple option?
That'd be confusing, wouldn't it? Back to Mills this time. That's about the best Winnipeg has done on him.
But the two of them, whether it's Kadeem Carey or Dedrick Mills, with Peyton Logan is a great changeup. It's a speed changeup that gets defenders out of their angles, their tackling angles, and his speed and quickness against the Lions' run defense in that game, in that big win. Look at this! Look at this speed to get outside of Lecumbo and down that sideline, basically without being touched, barely touched until he found the end zone. I mean, that kind of speed can really help Calgary's chances.
I don't think I'm going to ruin the game plan for anybody, but if Calgary can run the ball and play defense like they can with Alway and Judge and Rose and Hauser and these veteran corners they have, that could be the recipe for success. Down the field here, Jamal Parker made a break on it. Mark and Michelle couldn't track that one.
Yeah, there was kind of a bit of a train wreck over there between Michelle and Parker. And they got, I think they got tangled up or stumbled or twisted. Or there's one down on the ground. This guy, there's carnage everywhere there on that play. It just,
in the end, falls incomplete. Grant waits for this. Kicked away by Grace just inside his own 35. Towering kick. Hung up there for a while. Grant takes it at the 25. Picks his way back to the 35. A short return for Janarian Grant, who's been held in check so far this evening. Do it again. Drew Brown will trot back out here with 49 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And his team up by 6. Tonight he's 7 of 9 for 146 yards and a touchdown. One more drive here for him, Glenn?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I heard his teammates as he was coming on the field say, hey, just go and do it again. That would mean a quick throw to Rasheed Bailey and let him do the rest of the running there. But usually when the Bombers this season have taken a lead, now this is a one possession lead, but taken a lead, they have really grounded out with the run game after that.
Time to cue up that 11-minute drive. Not here. Brown down the field, and that is hauled in. O'Leary Orange working against Moxie, and he picks up a big chunk. I almost thought Brown was going to do it again there.
Yeah, Brendan O'Leary Orange does he does his best impersonation of a rebounder in basketball. I mean, he's going to block out Moxie on this and then make a real good catch back behind him. See how he's blocking out, get his body in front of and box out the rebounder trying to get the ball behind him and then rip it down.
His longest catch of the season, just his 5th catch of the year. Kind of stuck down the depth chart in this deep Winnipeg offense. Now they'll get it to the fullback, 3rd catch of the season for Damian Jackson. And he gets involved as well as we hit the end of quarter number 3 here at McMahon as we wrap up Friday Night Football for another season. And these teams giving us a little bit of entertainment in the second half of this ball game. Long way to go here. Winnipeg on top. Winnipeg Blue Bombers on top by 6 here at McMahon in Calgary on a Friday night, and both teams kind of getting what they wanted to see, I think, here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew Brown has looked good in relief of Zach Collaros here, not playing tonight, and I think that one drive for Calgary in the 3rd quarter, that touchdown drive, finish by Cole Tucker, important for the psyche of their offense, and we're going to have a finish in the fourth quarter. And by the way, I know you mentioned my gloves in the first break, and did it in a way that said, hey, you know, I'm not wearing gloves on camera. Yeah, you're wearing gloves. You're just not wearing them on camera.
These are like discount ones,
Dustin,
that just don't look as good.
Dustin, busted. Busted.
I know. You got to give me a pair of those gloves. I'm wearing the same shoes now. You might as well get the same gloves too. Augustine on the carry. They look good enough for a first down. They are keeping my hands warm though. It's a little. I don't know. I don't want to say it's warming up.
It's been a better second half.
The wind has died down a little bit here, right?
And I think that's why we've seen some of the passing games sort of reemerge here in the second half. The wind's died down a little bit. It was a blizzard in the first quarter, keep in mind. Made it more difficult to throw the ball for the quarterbacks.
Drew Brown so far having your typical Drew Brown relief effort, 9 of 11, 185 yards and a touchdown. Has time down the field, drops it in there, touchdown! O'Leary Orange hauls it in. Flag on the play, but Drew Brown strikes again.
Calgary number 2. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
A little bit of extra blocking help comes in. Watch the protection for Drew Brown. It's going to be a play action to Augustine there. That pulls the linebackers close. Look at the protection and pocket for Drew Brown. He steps in and delivers a strike on a deep crossing route from O'Leary Orange. Nice execution. Second touchdown for Brown.
36 and 31-yard catches from Brendan O'Leary Orange. We'll knock through one more, and that is the second touchdown in the career of O'Leary Orange, and the second of the night for Drew Brown, who's been super efficient thus far.
Drew Brown knows he has man-to-man here because O'Leary Orange comes from depth and then will cross, and Moxie came across to take him and then has to try and trail him. And Moxie will sit on this route, and O'Leary Orange runs right through that attempted jam to get wide open on that crossing post, that deep crossing route. But Drew Brown knew he had man-to-man because of the pre-snap motion.
Brown is now 10 of 12, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions on the season for the Bombers backup. Taking 21 on the return, finding a little bit of space here is Logan this time. Decent field position for the Calgary Stampeders as he gets stopped just shy of the 50.
We saw the big run by Rasheed Bailey, and this might be it for him for tonight. Hopefully he can walk this off. This was on the touchdown throw to O'Leary Orange, and he just looks like a non-contact, maybe hamstring or something on that right leg was bothering him. This is always the concern in these type of games. Just do not want to lose a starter with the playoffs around the corner.
Tommy Stevens into the ball game, this time to hand it off for a short pickup on first down. Let's take a look at Tommy Stevens, second year out of Penn State.
Just limited action other than short yardage. We talked at length about his work on the short yardage team, but yeah, I think when you watch this game and you look at that long drive by Jake Mayer that finished with a touchdown to Cole Tucker, that's what Dave Dickinson needed to see from Mayer. Okay, now we'll make the change.
Coming into this game, Calgary had attempted 570 passes this year. Jake Mayer had thrown 563 of them, all but 7. That right there is just the 8th pass by a quarterback not named Jake Mayer this year.
Yeah, I mentioned off the top that Mayer was the only quarterback in the league that started every game for his team, and
there's value in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and led the league in attempts, led the league in completions. So his night on, and he wears that toque much better than Matthew in the studio. Just saying.
We had to mention that again, hey? Had to mention that one more time. We both got a shot in. Can't blame either of us. 3rd and 2. Stevens wants to throw this one quickly, and that is incomplete. He's trying to drop it in to Ryson John, but it ends up falling incomplete. Turnover on downs, and Winnipeg will get this ball back.
Well, I'm wondering about the call on 3rd and 2 when you have Tommy Stevens in the game, big running quarterback. You have Dedrick Mills, but when I looked at the play, it looked like it may have had the option to run, and it was Stevens' decision to throw the ball. So sometimes there's those play called that you have the option, the quarterback has the option to run the ball, and then he decided to pull it in that case, and it didn't work.
Start on their own 54. Augustine. Not much room on this one. Picks up a couple of yards. Micah Alway has 9 tackles in this ball game. Now that takes him to 130 on the season. There's Cam Judge, who's been riding shotgun right beside him all year.
Well, there's been some great combinations at linebacker in this league. Still is this year. Toronto has a good group. All the teams in the playoffs certainly do. But man, that's been a great 1-2 combo. Cameron Judge.
Brown over the middle finds a soft spot in that defense to Wolotarski. There's a flag on the play.
Well, we'll see what the flag is, but if it stands this play, it'll be the 10th tackle of the game of the night for 57. Micah Alway, who is going to track this down from coverage.
Illegal contact, Calgary, number 2. That penalty is declined. First down.
So that tackle will count. That's number 10 on the night. And
131.
131 and counting
on the season. Continues to climb the list of all-time great tackle seasons in the Canadian Football League. Not done yet either. Brown on the run, way back here, gets it away. Augustine could not hang on, in and out of his hands with his quarterback on the run for safety.
And you look at Cameron Judge, his partner in the linebacking core, the nominee for Outstanding Canadian, and boy, I tell you, the big plays that Cameron Judge has made this season, in any other year, he would be an absolute front runner for Outstanding Canadian in his season. I mean, 5 interceptions, and maybe most impressively, they were game-changing interceptions. But also that when they played against Trey Ford and the Edmonton Elks, he was the guy that spied Trey Ford. He was the guy the coaches believed in to try and track down Trey Ford.
Brown towards the end zone, looking to drop it in there. Kenny Lawler laid out. Did he haul it in? Calgary Stampeders are saying incomplete. Nobody else has ruled anything on the field.
Well, they're trying to see if he did catch this, and he's trying to help them. And I think he landed on the football, knocked the wind out of himself. Kenny Lawler with a nice catch as Brown hits him sort of fading away.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
Got blocked by the goalpost there. But this look will show and see if they use the turf to help him make this. He came down pretty hard too. It looked like he got the wind knocked out of him.
Well, he almost had another highlight reel catch, didn't he? Lawler involved a little bit more earlier in this game. 7 different players have a catch tonight for Winnipeg. Castillo, this time from 40 yards. 4 for 4 already in the game. Give him a 5 for 5 night. Calgary's nominee for top Canadian this season. We'll take a look at the rest of the West nominees when we return. Well, welcome back to McMahon, everyone, and what a season for this group of Canadians and many others in the league that wouldn't make this list in the West.
Well, that's what I mean about, 91 tackles and 5 interceptions for Cam Judge. Just outstanding season. And Sam Emilus in Saskatchewan with over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think any other year, other than the year that Brady Oliveira gets 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Oh, and Matthew Betts breaks a Canadian record for sacks in a season.
I know, there's a big debate there, isn't there?
You're probably, if you're Cam Judge, resigned to the fact that you're not going to win the Outstanding Canadian. Nice to be nominated and a great honor, but it's been a pretty special season for Brady Oliveira and Matthew Betts in Vancouver.
Matthew Betts as well. And it's funny, depending on who you're having a conversation with, they'll be like, well, it's clearly this guy.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And you're like, well, what about this guy? Oh, yeah, that does make sense. So, yeah. We'll see how that works out. Trey Ford put up numbers that if you would have prorated it over an entire season, it might have been his award.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Procedure, Calgary, number 66. It's 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Bryce Bell, the guilty party on that. I mean, the good news is that there's a ton of elite Canadian talent to choose from in the Canadian Football League right now.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about a guy who's not dressed for the Bombers tonight, and Nick Dembski, who had 1,000 yards alongside Brady Oliveira's over 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards rushing.
Well, in some years, the season that Dembski had would be good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? To possibly win the entire thing. Stevens with a hot shot into his running back there. Pick up a few yards, almost back to the original line of scrimmage.
I will say that Michael O'Shea, and again, we talk about tackles and Micah Alway. I mean, here's Michael O'Shea, who is the second all-time leader in tackles, total tackles in Canadian Football League history, also a Canadian. And, we talk about Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski and developing Canadians, empowering Canadians on the roster.
Let's go! Let's go!
Big difference. Not all coaches do it.
Grant trying to pop it to the outside. Calgary will have none of it. They track him down. Still tried to escape at the tail end of that. They had him wrapped up neatly. Nowhere to go on a Friday night. Calgary. Welcome back to McMahon. Winnipeg has the ball, and they lead 29-13. Drew Brown will turn around and hand this off to Augustine. Takes it up almost to the 35. Probably stopped just shy of a first down.
Yeah, this is the Bombers' playbook, and they get the lead often by a couple of possessions, and then we'll grind it in the run game, especially on first down, to eat up the clock. And a good start for Drew Brown, and we did see a little bit of Dakota Prukop, but it looks like it'll be Brown to finish, at least in this drive.
Prukop pushes ahead for the first down.
Interesting, though, when you think about the Bomber season and just how this game sort of is a reflection of it, because it seemed to me that when they'd lose a game, and there weren't many losses, just 4 coming into this one tonight, the next couple of games or opponents, it was just ugly. It was, they lose to the BC Lions, go out and beat Montreal and Calgary back-to-back. They lose in that big come-from-behind win for the Ottawa Red Blacks out there in Ottawa, and then they come back and beat Edmonton, BC, Edmonton, Calgary, and Montreal, and they weren't close, those games, a lot of them.
Well, let's just look at in the second half this season. Winnipeg has outscored the opposition coming into this game 269 to 146. So they have just dominated the second half of football games this year. Excellent offensively, and then really sort of lockdown mode defensively in the third and fourth quarters.
Well, plus 66 in points in the fourth quarter.
Just in the fourth quarter, yeah.
In the fourth quarter of games. And there's Adam Bighill, their leader on defense, that's getting a break tonight, but will be ready for the West Final for sure. I almost said BC.
You almost
we
said
have to
BC.
Decide.
Well, you know what? Let me ask you this.
They have to decide.
There's another tackle involved in that as well. How much do you buy into what you saw last week for Calgary going out and doing what they did to the BC Lions?
Well, you know, I think the script was a good one for Calgary to have that balance in their offense. It was Kadeem Carey's best game. Was that win against the BC Lions, but the Lions won 2 of the 3. There's their points. And if you look at the turnover category, 5 of those turnovers for the Lions came in the loss in their last game. So, you know, that's something that their defense is certainly capable of creating. Now, this is a big play offense, but to answer your question, and it's a good one, how much do you read into that game from the BC Lions perspective? I say not much. I honestly think that you will see a completely different playoff game and a completely different BC Lion team than you saw that day or that night.
Calgary this year, for just a 6-win team, it's interesting. They're plus 10 in the turnover ratio, which is like for a team that's now they've lost 4 games by 3 points or less. So they've been involved in some close football games that those go the other way.
Yep.
You know, maybe they're an 8-win team or a 9-win team if they close out those games a little bit differently. But you know, the one area that really sort of stands out for Calgary is, let's see, flags on this play. Brown down the field, and look at that, finds Kenny Lawler down at the 40. But there were flags right at the line of scrimmage on that one.
Offside, Calgary, number 91. That penalty is declined. First down.
Calgary's defense this year, 7th in the league in allowing 122 yards per game on the ground. And that'll be something that you'll have to factor in. It'll be interesting to see how, like, BC's usually an air show, right? They don't really run the ball
big play air
that
show.
much. So
absolutely.
if Calgary can control the ball on the ground with some sort of combination of these dynamic running backs they have, could maybe be how that game is won by them if they're able to pull off what would be an upset. Let's not kid ourselves here. 1st and 10 from the Calgary 40, back on the ground.
Well, it would be an upset, but, you know, I think of the matchups. You look at the Lions receiving core, Dominic Rhymes and Hatcher in the group. I mean, that against this secondary for the Calgary Stampeders is favors BC in the big play ability, and this Calgary secondary has kind of been up and down all year. I mean, Trey Roberson didn't play in some games when he was healthy. Their linebacking core solid with Mike Holloway, Cam Judge. You know, you can even throw in Brandon Dozier.
Oh, Dozier for sure, yeah. He's had a great year. He's a guy who can move around a little bit. Brown moving around here, out to his left, has some room to run. Will end up throwing it down inside the 20. And a slide underneath it and haul it in. It's Wolodarski again.
But when you're talking about the Calgary run game versus the BC Lion run game, especially of late, I think that's advantage Calgary. So the challenge for the Lions defense in the semi is going to be getting Jake Mayer into 2nd and long and stopping that run on 1st down. Some pretty nice catch down there for Wolodarski. Getting his hands underneath it.
Team leading 5th catch of the game. Drew Brown's creeping up towards 300 yards in this final start of the year. Time now for your Coors Light moment of chill. Finally really fitting in tonight here, and a little chilly in McMahon. Brady Oliveira putting the finishing touches on just a spectacular regular season.
Getting the mind right. And then executing. They got him over that 2,000-yard mark from the line of scrimmage, and Outstanding season for the Bombers. Jake Goddard, nominee.
He is on that list, isn't he? We'll go look at that here. 1st and 10 from the Calgary 15. Augustine, nice burst, takes it down just outside the 5. Here's that list of nominees.
Yeah, Jake Goddard Veterans Award nominees that are the players that best represent the characteristics of the men and women in the Canadian Forces: strength, perseverance, courage, comradeship, and community involvement. And it is a very, very impressive list. The winner will be announced at the award banquet out in Niagara Falls and Hamilton and Grey Cup week. But Brady Oliveira got the nod out of Winnipeg. Congratulations to him, and Charlie Power out of Calgary.
Saw Shaggy's playing at the awards night out in Niagara. Huge fan. Looking forward to that.
Love it.
Crew Cup, steady as she goes. Trying to push ahead here as this clock ticks down. Just over 2 minutes remaining in this one.
So the Bombers go to 14 wins on the season. Alway goes into the top 4 in tackles. Have we summed up the? He got up to the top 3 as a matter of fact. How about that to finish strong?
Only one man with more, and he did it twice. MOP in 2014, the only defensive player to ever get his hands on that MOP. Got back 9 years for that. Always putting together an all-time season here for the Calgary Stampeders. Crew Cup looking to find the end zone here. 1st and goal from the Calgary 5. Handed off, pushing ahead, trying to get it in. Did they get there? Looks like they're going to mark them just shy. Was that Brady Oliveira back in the ball game?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Johnny Augustine got a little bit of a nick or something on that last play, so Brady Oliveira, who thought he was shut down for the night, had to come in and he just drives the pile for 3-4 yards.
Well, if he's able to punch one in here, that'd be his 10th rushing touchdown of the season. 12th play of this drive as Winnipeg seals another one away. This looks like quarterback keeper for Prukop, pushing ahead, and he's in. Touchdown Winnipeg as they put the finishing touches on yet another victory and will improve to 6-3 on the road this season.
Well, thanks to the CFL fans across the country, we got some more CFL football to wrap up the regular season this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Take a look at the teams that are in the playoffs, the teams that are building for next year to finish up the regular season. Thanks to our entire crew, too. That camera guys across the country. Our producer, John Hines, who will be in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame after Grey Cup
Hall of Famer.
weekend. Absolutely.
Yeah, look at me surrounded by Hall of Famers in the booth, in the truck. My goodness. Castillo knocks that one through. 98 seconds on the clock. Another classic Bomber fourth quarter, 12-play, 85-yard drive. Doesn't matter who's at the helm. Doubleheader tomorrow to officially wrap the regular season. We'll talk about this game in a second. Tiger Cats and the Alouettes will get us going at 4 o'clock Eastern. And that one will be followed by the Argos and the Red Blacks to wrap things up. How do you approach that, Hamilton? Well, they're going to play again next week, right?
Yeah,
so
in the playoffs.
What do you do?
Well, I think the importance there, and again, I think you manage it the same way basically these two coaches did here. You got to rest some players. You got to take some players out of harm's way. That's for sure. But that one is a little different than this one because we don't know if Calgary is going to be in the West Final against Winnipeg. That's still to be determined. The BC Lions have a lot to say about that. So for those two teams, Montreal and Hamilton, physicality to me in that last game of the regular season, super important. Now, you can't intimidate a pro, really. I mean, you're not going to intimidate a guy, but if you are the better team physically in that final game of the regular season, that will linger going into the playoff.
Bit of an advantage, eh? A mental battle. This will be booted away. Logan takes it just inside the 20. Peyton Logan tripped up at the 30, and then he'll be touchdown.
I tell you what, I'm real excited about this West semifinal next week in BC Place. And you take a look at Jake Mayer's games against the Lions this year. I mean, the numbers don't jump off the page, and then you get to the win. You know, touchdown interception ratio, that's what helped him. We showed you those turnovers and the difference there between these two teams all season long. 5 turnovers in the win versus the Lions.
Calgary's offense of the year, 28 turnovers. That's the second fewest in the Canadian Football League. And if you're looking at, you know, how do you win a playoff game if you go in as a little bit of an underdog? Well, you look after the football, you run the football, and you make plays defensively.
Stay away from penalties.
Yeah.
Have balance in your offense. Add Peyton Logan. Oh,
bit of a wild card factor, right?
I went from big picture to Calgary. But yeah, good running game, good change of pace with Peyton Logan and either Kadeem Carey or Dedrick Mills, depending on what Dave Dickinson decides for that semifinal.
Going up against a BC team that could hang 400 air yards on you without thinking about it, right?
Quickly. So against MOP nominee Vernon Adams, who's had an outstanding season. So yeah, almost 65% of the games this year have come down to the final 3 minutes. Been outstanding entertainment, world-class athletes, and we're going to see that this year. I'm more excited about the playoffs this year than I have been in a long time, honestly.
Some interesting storylines for sure, especially
absolutely.
with like the defending champions possibly tying the all-time record for wins in a season in the Toronto Argos. And last year, you know, the Argos going into the Grey Cup against Winnipeg. And Winnipeg was a back-to-back. It's a different mindset this year if those two do meet again. If not, you have BC, who would have had to go to IG Field, knock off the Bombers, which is an incredible story, or Calgary somehow pulling off a couple of back-to-back upsets. It just sets things up really nice as well. And then whoever comes out of that Montreal-Hamilton game, I think at times this year when those teams have played their best football, they can give the Argos a run.
Well, if the Argos do tomorrow get to 16 wins on the season, I mean, one other team has done that, and as you mentioned, does not guarantee you anything. But keep in mind in this West final thought for the Bombers, the Lions beat them handily in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's true. Earlier in the year, yeah.
That was a 30-6 win for BC. So,
do you think Winnipeg remembers that one?
Oh,
do you think the fans at IG Field remember what happened in that game?
I'm just saying, create the storylines because it's going to be fun.
Win number 14 for Winnipeg is what's about to just go into the books. One shy of what they were able to do last year, but as Glenn pointed out on the broadcast earlier, you know, when healthy, if they do have shown, they've added Kenny Lawler from last year. Brady Oliveira is having one of the greatest seasons that a running back's had. All of a sudden, you might even look better than you did last year if you're Winnipeg.
Yeah, 29 wins in the last 2 years. That's one shy of the CFL record over a 2-year span.
I just wish we could fly to BC tomorrow and call this game. I don't want to have to wait over a week to call that West final, but it should be a good one. And Drew Brown had a good one tonight, didn't he? 278 yards, couple of touchdowns, looked after the football once again as Zach Collaros watched as Brady Oliveira and the rest of the Blue Bombers took care of business one more time.
Hey, you always need that underdog in the playoffs. The Calgary Stampeders will be that underdog going into the playoffs this year, but they have the talent to pull off the upset. Stay tuned. Next week's going to be fun.
Run the ball, play some defense,
and stun the BC Lions. That place is going to be rocking. I cannot wait to see the playoff atmosphere at BC Place, with what the Lions and their new ownership have managed to build there from a buzz perspective. That place is going to be absolutely rocking. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be waiting for what will be a jam-packed IG field as they take care of business one more time. 36-13, your final from Calgary, as Winnipeg, with some highlights along the way, get it done again. Their 6th road win of the season. That's going to do it for us in Friday Night Football. For Glenn Suter and Britt Dorr down on the sidelines, our entire crew up here in the booth, down on the field and in the truck. Thank you for joining us for regular season football. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Come on in and welcome to SportsCenter. Jermaine Franklin, Sarah Davis here with you at Friday Night Football. Outstanding, coming to a close. The Stampeders and Bombers both knew their destiny in terms of postseason, so obviously they didn't want to show a lot, but the Bombers showed who they were, as they were all season. The Stampeders, they struggled all season, except for when they needed to most, and they struggled again
I mean,
tonight.
In a way, it was almost like a preseason game because he had a lot of starters sitting. But for Brady Oliveira, it was a special game for him because he got to add to his career rushing yards, and we'll show you that in just a moment. But let's show you this one went down. Snow. Snow. You're kidding me.
A little bit to get that catch right there.
Yeah.
That's the Calgary I remember.
Right? I heard it was a high of -9 this week in Calgary. So Brady Oliveira enters this one needing just 20 combined yards to reach 2,000 for the season. And in the first, he now needs just 4 more, and he gets it. He becomes just the second Canadian in CFL history to reach 2,000 combined yards, joining John Cornish. He also joined Cornish as the only Canadians to reach 1,500 rushing yards in a season. And of course, you got to save the football. Let's go to the second half now. We got a different kind of milestone here. Jake Mayer to rookie receiver Cole Tucker. Makes a couple guys miss, and he scores here. The 4th overall pick from the 2023 draft gets his first career TD, and he lets the camera know how he was feeling.
Shout out to Calgary, Illinois. First touchdown ever. Man, it feels good.
See some exciting individual moments here. Now later in the quarter.
129. Here's Drew Brown. Into, oh boy, what a lucky bounce there. And that's going to be taken by Rasheed Bailey down inside the 30. Bailey inside the 20. Cuts it back, still going. Bailey will not be stopped. End zone. What an effort. Are you kidding me, Rasheed Bailey? A couple of cracks.
I hope we get some of that in the postseason. Rasheed Bailey for the 68-yard score, and he put the Bombers on top. Of course, they went on to win 36-13, the final score of this one.
It looked cold.
You sure did. I'm glad we are not in Calgary right now. The Bombers, with all those points, leapfrog the Argos for the league lead in points. Toronto's going to need 31 points tomorrow in Ottawa to regain the lead. And as for Brady Oliveira, crosses that 2,000-yard mark. And you got to consider this. The single-season combined yards record is held by Chad Owens with 3,863 in 2012. Many of those did come on special teams. And while Zach Collaros didn't play, he ends the season with a career-high 4,252 passing yards. That's more than 500 behind Vernon Adams for the league lead. Now, with more on this night, let's go to Matthew Shinetti and the panel.
Well, the record books will say this game happened, but alongside Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunigan, and Milt Stegall, let's, like the freshly fallen snow in Calgary at McMahon Stadium, let's have our own blank canvas here, Davis. What are your takeaways?
If you're the Calgary Stampeders, the only reason that you play your starting quarterback is to try to get some feel-good moving forward into the playoffs. They didn't get that. I don't think they feel good about what happened offensively. And thank goodness for this team, they're turning their page. It's playoff time, because this season has not been what the Stamps expected. And I will tell you this, the BC Lions are fresh, and they're going to be fast. at the dome, in the dome, in the Dominator's dome, with that receiving core, fresh. Watch out. Calgary's going to have to score a lot more points than they did tonight against Winnipeg's backups to have, not just to have any chance to stick with the Lions.
Yeah, I like that thought process, and I'm with you about BC just chomping at the bit. Come in the Lions' den. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Because that 41-16 drubbing that you put on us a couple weeks ago, and we flushed that, and we weren't playing. Kind of like the Calgary Stampeders on this night. They weren't playing. Everything that happened good to this football team can be flushed too, because that was not a good performance at all. Winnipeg Blue Bombers went out there, and their biggest concern was get Drew Brown up to speed, and again, he went out there and performed 13-17, an outstanding night, took care of the football, 2 more touchdowns. But for the life of me, watching Janarian Grant return punts and kickoffs, it's like, what is going on? Late in the football game, because we saw Rasheed Bailey go down. Rasheed Bailey is such an integral part of this football team moving forward, because he does all the things you don't see. And we saw him a couple times tonight do some things that you would see normal receivers do. Rasheed Bailey does the nasty work. He blocks. Yep. He does, and he does a lot of things, takes tops off of coverages. In my opinion, this is exactly what the coach's worst nightmare is watching the starter go down. And it's
cold weather football. Rasheed Bailey is first team All CFL.
To see him pulling handy, it's like, oh no! It's just a nightmare for what we're seeing.
Let's hope Rasheed Bailey's healthy. He has, a couple of weeks to get himself healthy. And as far as these Calgary Stampeders, they should be excited that they're in the playoffs. Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, this team was 4-11. No one was giving them a shot. So there's no pressure. No one is expecting them to do anything in the playoffs. No one is probably expecting them even to compete with the BC Lions. So they have a great opportunity in front of them. As you spoke of, they got to score some points. They got to play a lot better than what they've played, but they got a great opportunity to shock the world, surprise everyone, because no one was expecting them to be in this position, and no one is expecting them to go in there and be able to compete with the BC Lions.
Let's give them some hope just a little bit, because if you're looking for hope and you're a Calgary Stampeders fan or you're Dave Dickinson, maybe you want to look back to the early 80s in the 69th Grey Cup when the 5-11 Ottawa Rough Riders.
Wow. Okay, they're 6-12.
Anything can happen in the playoffs. Back to SportsCenter.
Thank you, Matthew. So the last 2 games of the regular season are tomorrow, beginning at 4 Eastern. It's the Ticats visiting the Owls, which is like a dry run for the Eastern semifinal between both these teams in Montreal next Saturday. With a win, the Alouettes will win 11 games for the first time since 2012. And then that's going to be followed by the Argos and Red Blacks. The Argos have known for a while that they're going to host the Eastern final on November 11th. If Toronto wins this one, they're going to tie the modern-day league record with a 16-2 record. They've been outstanding this season. But now let's go back to Calgary, and new on SC, it's Drew Brown with our Britt Dort.
Drew, you talked about it coming out here and executing tonight, how important it was to you. You really took off in that second half. What was working for you?
Yeah, I think we had a good plan going into it. In the first half, we just, weren't able to execute in the score zone. Come out in the second half, get a few more opportunities. And I felt like we executed really well once we got down there. So,
what can you say about this team? Because there were a lot of different faces in the lineup here tonight.
I think it's preached all the time about, we're in that team meeting room because we can play at this level. And Osh always starts the year off when, the guys that are going to be here are with us. He says every single one of you is going to help us win a game this year. And you hear it enough and you see it happen, you start to believe that. So, that's really all it is. I think that we expect highly of each other, regardless of who's out there. We prepare during the week, and we have the confidence to come in and execute at a high level.
Well, we know the next game for you guys will be the West Final. This could be an opponent that you face. How important was it to get the win here tonight to finish off the regular season?
Yeah, I think all things considered, just, coming out here and competing and winning, that's important to us. If you're a competitor, you don't come out here and try and do certain things. You come out here to win, regardless of what it looks like. So that's really what I think comes down to. I think we just have a lot of competitive dudes in the locker room. So we're excited to get this win and kind of roll into the playoffs.
Well, congrats on the win and enjoy it.
Thank you.
New on SC, Brady Oliveira also with Britt Dort.
Brady, you told us before the game that even though this game didn't matter in the standings, it was about showcasing what this team could do. What can you say about that performance tonight?
Yeah, lots of guys, came up in the game today and made plays, and it was really encouraging to see. I see the guys, the work that the guys put in throughout the week, even our 2s and our 3s, and to see them, come out here today and get their opportunity and make plays, it's exciting. I'm super excited for our guys.
What does it say about this team, just how deep you guys are?
Yeah, one guy goes down, then the next guy steps in, and that's our mentality. And I think the biggest thing is just the prep that goes on throughout the week and how much this group cares. Like I said, the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, across the board, everyone truly cares and pushes each other to get better. So it was exciting to see the guys in there and do their thing.
You guys clinched the West again this year. We know the next game you're going to take to the field is going to be in your house, the West Final. How much is this team going to be working toward that in the next couple weeks here?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. That's one circled on our calendar, and we're excited. We're going to be juiced up. I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit to get that game going.
Well, not only congratulations to your team, congratulations to yourself for being an outstanding Canadian running back in this league this year.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Brady.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We saw the Blue Bombers beat the Stampeders tonight, 36-13 in Calgary, as the Stamps get ready to face the Lions in the West Division semifinal next week. Now, new on SC, here is Dave Dickinson.
Yeah, we got outplayed and outcoached, so they were the more physical group. We had just a little bit of life when we took the lead. They took it right back. So, hopefully our guys are ready to work and get another shot at him. But the main thing for us is we got to show up, even starting tomorrow, watch the tape, put the work in, hopefully get the results we're in BC.
What's the balance in these types of games where you probably don't want to show your playbook or whatever? Like you're trying to protect injury, how do you balance all that?
They know our playbook. Like, it's not like you have to worry about it. But what you are balancing is how much you're playing guys and who plays and who doesn't play. You want to show up and you want to get better as a team. We probably didn't do that tonight. We didn't get better. So unfortunately, they were playing a lot, I guess, shorthanded as well. They had a lot of their guys still left at home, but they were able to execute and do what they needed to do to get the win.
Back-to-back games where you've had a 3rd and short for the opposition and you've turned it into a fumble recovered. What goes into that? Because it looks like it's a team effort to get a play like that, a turnover on downs on 3rd and short.
Well, some guys making play, really. That's all it is. One guy's probably just getting it. They made some plays, too. They are good at short yardage. We didn't give up, but you could tell the whole building didn't have any energy anyway. It was just one of those games where you couldn't manufacture it on our end. We couldn't execute on our end. So, they outplayed us, and that's just the bottom line.
Mike always hits a record for tackles, gets into top 5 all time. Can you talk a little bit about not only his play tonight, but his play all season?
Yeah, I mean, happy for him, and he's put a lot on the line. He's not a young man, and he really did a good job and did some great things this year. But we didn't do a good job tackling today. We were getting pushed around a bit, and they ran downhill on us. But Micah has been a great leader. He's been a guy that's helped us in our defensive fronts. He never gives up. He plays right to the whistle. He plays short yardage. He jumps over the top. I'm happy for him because I think he's a really good person, too. He's a guy that really takes football seriously. So, yeah, he got that, and let's see if we can get more tackles next week and more impact plays.
New on SC was 6 for 15 for 110 yards. Jake Mayer.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough start for sure. Obviously, the elements were what they were, especially on that first drive. It was kind of in our face a little bit. But, it is what it is. And then missed a pretty easy one to Peyton Logan over the middle, which was probably going to be a first down, if not better. So definitely want that one back. And then we came out better in the second half. We took a lead there, and it just got away from us in the end. So, it is what it is. It still stings, still pisses you off, to be honest with you. But now we're 0-0, man. Here we go.
You're going to be playing in a dome next weekend, but this was weather. If you go to Winnipeg, you're going to be playing in weather. How did the game plan get used to playing in some different elements?
Yeah, no, you have to get used to that stuff because the West has run through that place for at least ever since I've been in the league. So, yeah, you got to get used to it. It can't be an excuse, can't be a crutch. And, you know, I think when you look back on tonight, it's gonna be good for us to be able to play in that type of element, just because maybe not a lot of us have necessarily have done that before, and you know, obviously Winnipeg will probably be worse. So yeah, but the goal right now is just to win one game, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Sting less at all, because it doesn't actually matter.
I don't know, man. Like the competitor in you, it still pisses you off. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, we're in the dance now, so. Everything that's happened at this point has been nothing more but a learning experience, good and bad, and yeah, you just flush it and move on, and here we go, BC.
Like we saw from Diedrich?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a stud. We know that. You know, we'll see what happens in the upcoming playoffs here, but he's been a workhorse for us all year. He leads our team in rushing, and anytime he has the ball, good things happen.
Is there kind of a sense of relief knowing that like the streak continues, it's 0-0? Like, is that like an accurate word to describe it?
A sense of relief in terms of we continued our streak, like the playoff streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. That's yeah, you want to keep that tradition going. We've talked about it earlier in the year and how bleak it looked, and you know, we were able to find a way to get ourselves in there. So yeah, I mean you have a lot of pride in that because you know how successful this organization's been, and we have to continue that trend. Obviously 6-12 is not gonna do it, and then it's not near the standard whatsoever. But you know, we are in a playoff game, and who knows what can happen this next month. And we could be having a totally different vibe in the next month, and that's something that I look forward to.
Was it difficult to get